1 करोड़ टन। तो मैं तो गणित का विद्यार्थी, मैंने से 1,40,000 करोड़ और टन। तब मैं जरा गणित लगाने लगा कि 1.4 इंटू 10⁻²2 यानी 1.4 पर 22 बिंदी लगा देंगे, कंप्यूटर फेल हो जाएगा। इतना कचरा कहां से आया? क्या ये भगवान ने बनाया? तो आपको आश्चर्य होगा, 1986 से वो जब दिल्ली का लैंडफिल शुरू होता है, 1/3 दिल्ली का है, पूरी दिल्ली में तो ऐसे 4 और है, लेकिन वो कचरे का पहाड़ जो इकट्ठा होकर सामने दिखाई दे रहा है, आप कल्पना कर सकते हैं कितने हजारों साल से ये समुद्र हमारे कचरे को अपने गर्भ में छुपाए हुए, ये लेता है हमसे वो। तो समुद्र को हम दे क्या रहे हैं? जहर दे रहे हैं केमिकल के रूप में, कचरा दे रहे हैं प्लास्टिक के रूप में। और अब तो कई साइंटिस्ट भी ये भी कहने लगे हैं कि मछलियों से ज्यादा प्लास्टिक हो जाएगा। आपको पता है ना कि जितना प्लास्टिक हमको उनके सी कोस्ट पर दिखाई देता है, वो केवल 15% होता है, 15% ऊपर तैरता है, लेकिन 70% तो नीचे जमीन में उसके गर्भ में रहता है। आप सोचिए, समुद्र में ये करा जाएगा तो समुद्र का लेवल बढ़ेगा कि नहीं? अरे ग्लेशियर्स का वाटर तो आएगा ही, लेकिन इसका क्या होगा? और समझने की बात क्या है, अब यहां से मैं सॉल्यूशन की, क्योंकि अगर हम प्रॉब्लम की बात करेंगे तो प्रॉब्लम तो गिनते गिनते बहुत हो जाएगा, लेकिन क्या हम प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व करने के सॉल्यूशंस क्रिएट करना है क्या, या प्रॉब्लम ही क्रिएट ना हो ऐसा एक सॉल्यूशन देना चाहिए? दोनों में अंतर है। जब समुद्र के पास ये सब आ जाता है, वहां पर क्या होना चाहिए, ये सरकार का या वहां की अथॉरिटी का जिम्मेदारी है। लेकिन ये घर से ही बाहर ना निकले, ये किसकी जिम्मेदारी है? ये हमारे मोहल्ले से करना जाए, ये किसकी जिम्मेदारी है? प्रॉब्लम क्रिएट ही ना हो तब सॉल्यूशन की बात है। यहां से अपने को सोचना पड़ेगा। और इसके लिए एक छोटा उदाहरण देना चाहता हूं, बहुत ही अच्छा उदाहरण है। जो हम अभी ट्रांसपोर्ट की बात कर रहे थे, उस ट्रांसपोर्ट के बारे में आपको ध्यान में होगा, दिल्ली में, वहां साउथ दिल्ली को अगर कुछ जानते होंगे तो जेएनयू के पास का एक एरिया है, वहां पर बहुत ज्यादा ट्रैफिक हो गया। वहां के बहुत बड़े बड़े लोग, सोसाइटी के लोग इकट्ठे होते हैं, जाते हैं इस देश के प्राइम मिनिस्टर के पास और कहते हैं, सर देखिए, पूरा कैलकुलेशन करके लेंगे कि यहाँ पे पर मिनट इतनी गाड़ियां निकलती हैं और अब इतनी और दी जा रही हैं, आगे ये गाड़ियां डबल हो जाएंगी, सेट पे हो जाएंगी आगे आने वाले, और इसलिए आप क्यों पर प्रतिबंध लगा दीजिए कि गाड़ी खरीदे ना, लोकल ट्रांसपोर्ट में इसमें उसमें जाएं। प्रधानमंत्री ने सुना, सुनने के बाद कहा, आपने तो ठीक कहा, आप एक गाड़ी कौन खरीद, आज के लोगों की हेल्थ बढ़ रही है इसलिए गाड़ी खरीदें, और जब खरीद रहे खरीदनी होनी चाहिए क्या, क्योंकि उसकी वेल्थ नहीं बढ़नी चाहिए? नहीं, वेल्थ तो बढ़नी चाहिए। फिर क्या साइकिल पर चलना चाहिए? साइकिल पर भी नहीं चलना चाहिए। तो फिर गाड़ी डबल नहीं होनी चाहिए? गाड़ी भी डबल होनी चाहिए। फिर ये ट्रैफिक का क्या होगा? तब उन्होंने कहा, यहां से समझ लीजिए कि आप प्रॉब्लम का सॉल्यूशन दे रहे हैं कि गाड़ी बंद हो जाए, आप ये सॉल्यूशन लेकर आइए मेरे पास कि ये डबल होने के बाद इस ट्रैफिक को किस प्रकार से कंट्रोल किया जा सकता है, इसके लिए टेक्नोलॉजी क्या हो सकती है, सॉल्यूशन क्या हो सकता है, ये लेकर आइए। हमने कहा ये ऐसा तो हमने नहीं, और आपकी जानकारी के लिए वो लोग गए, सॉल्यूशन खोजा। आज दिल्ली में वहां पर सब ट्रैफिक रहता है। क्या हम सॉल्यूशन क्या सॉल्यूशन प्रॉब्लम में है, हमको करनी पड़ेगी। एक उदाहरण देखो, आपको पता है पर कैपिटा प्लास्टिक जनरेशन, प्रति व्यक्ति प्लास्टिक का जनरेशन अमेरिका में एक वर्ष में एवरेज 220 होता है, यानी एक व्यक्ति एक साल में अमेरिका में 221 किलो प्लास्टिक जनरेट करता है। वहां प्लास्टिक की प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, लेकिन भारत को पता होना चाहिए, यहां एवरेज प्रति स्किल जनरेशन होता है इन ईयर। अपराध की हर जगह परेशानी है। परेशानी क्यों है? कि उसका प्रॉपर मैनेजमेंट है। हमको ये एटीट्यूड बदलना पड़ेगा कि ये इसका प्रॉपर मैनेजमेंट होता है। आपको पता होना चाहिए कि विश्व सबसे ज्यादा रेनफॉल 213 फीट ये होता है चेरापूंजी में, भारत में। लेकिन वहां पीने का पानी नहीं है। लेकिन जिस राजस्थान का मैं हूं, वहां पर विश्व का सबसे कम रेन ओनली 17.6 सेंटीमीटर, लेकिन नहीं मिलता है। वो नहाने के लिए भी हर रोज नहाते हैं और एक फसल भी करते हैं। इतने मिनिमम रेनफॉल में जब ये सब कुछ हो सकता है, तो 11 to 13 मीटर्स में क्यों नहीं हो सकता? ये समझने की बात है। क्या करना पड़ेगा कि पूरा सॉल्यूशन कहाँ है। हम ओशियन की बात करेंगे तो हमको ये विचार करना है कि तीन बातें कह के मेरी बात पूरी करूंगा। हमको 3 बात करनी पड़ेगी, उसका नाम है एसी। एमसी नहीं करना, ये ब्लू ओशियन करना है या ब्लू स्काई करना है, उसके लिए आवश्यक हमको बात करनी पड़ेगी एएमसी। ए मतलब है करना अवॉइड। जो एनवायरमेंट के लिए, नेचर के लिए उसको मैं अवॉइड करूंगा, मेरे से बात शुरू होगी, वो सोसाइटी में ले जाएंगे। तो क्या हम अवॉइड कर सकते हैं? और जब अवॉइड करने की बात आती है तो हमको दूसरी बात करनी पड़ेगी मिनिमाइज। क्या मैं मेरी आवश्यकताओं को मिनिमाइज कर सकता हूं? क्या आवश्यक मिनिमाइज नहीं होंगी और कहेंगे, आपको पता है ना, इस नेचर में 3 चीजें मनुष्य के जिंदा रहने के लिए होती है। खाने को अन्न होता है जो हमको नेचर से मिलता है। अन्न हम जमीन से मिलता है, इसका कोई पैसा नहीं देना पड़ता है। जमीन प्रकृति हमसे कोई टैक्स लेती है। पीने के लिए पानी, इसका टैक्स पैसा नहीं देना पड़ता है। और सांस के लिए वायु, हवा, इसका टैक्स नहीं देना पड़ता है। ये 3 नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज पूरे समाज के हर व्यक्ति नहीं, हर जीव जंतु का अधिकार है। क्या मनुष्य ने इसके लिए सब कुछ समझ है? और इसलिए इस एएमसी में जाना पड़ेगा कि क्या मैं अवॉइड जो नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज हैं उनको मिनिमाइज, और तीसरा क्रिएट। क्या मैं क्रिएट कर सकता हूं? अब ये क्रिएटिविटी लाना, यही टेक्नोलॉजी भी हो सकती है। ये वर्तमान में जो कुछ लेकर हमको कर सकता है, सॉल्यूशन अपने पास से निकालकर हमको। मैं एक थोड़ी सी बात कह के मेरी बात पूरी करता हूं कि शुरुआत कहां से करना है और हमको कहां से रहना है। उनके कहा गया यहां सबके लिए ध्यान में रखना है। हार्ट अटैक के बाद हॉस्पिटल में एडमिट हो गए, ऑक्सीजन लग गई, आईसीयू में चले गए, 7 दिन के बाद से सेठ जी ठीक हो जाते हैं, वापस आते हैं। आने के बाद जब जा रहे होते हैं, डॉक्टर उनको 10,000 रुपए का बिल पकड़ता है। बिल देखकर सेठ जी रोने लग जाते हैं, आंखों से आंसू आ रहे हैं। डॉक्टर जानता है कि हमारे गांव के सबसे बड़े सेठ हैं, पैसे की कोई कमी नहीं है, सैकड़ों नौकर चाकर हैं, ये रो रहे हैं। जब जो सेठ जी ने कहा वो हम सबके लिए समझने के लिए बात है, वो मैं आपको कहना चाह रहा हूं। और वो ये है, सेठ जी कहते हैं रखकर थोड़ी आपको दवाई दी दिया, इससे आपने 50,000 रुपए ले लिए। अरे मैं साल का हूं, 60 साल का, जिस दिन में से मैं इस ले रहा हूं, खाने के लिए अन्न ले रहा हूं, पीने के लिए पानी ले रहा हूं, मैंने आज तक इस नेचर पैसे का भुगतान नहीं किया। मैं मेरी जिंदगी के 60 साल को कैसे भुगता, ये मैं सोच कर रहा हूं। मैं 50,000 के लिए नहीं, आप हम बैठे हुए नेचर के लिए क्या देते हैं, कृपया अंदर कर देखिए। क्या हवा को जहर देते हैं? क्या पानी को जहर देते हैं? क्या जमीन को जहर देते हैं कि नहीं? और देते हैं तो मेरा क्या कर्तव्य होना चाहिए? यहां पर बैठे हुए, क्या सरकार का कोई एनवायरमेंट डिवीजन इसको ठीक करेगा क्या? वो आपका सहयोग कर सकता है करने में। आपने उनकी बात सुनी, उन्होंने 4 सॉल्यूशन बताए, आप सॉल्यूशन में लग गए तो संसार क्या, भगवान भी आकर हमें बचा सकता। हमको शुरुआत करनी पड़ेगी खुद से, स्वयं से, स्वयं को ले जाना पड़ेगा समाज में, और समाज को जागृत करके एक अभियान खड़ा करना पड़ेगा कि हम सब लिए इस नेचर के लिए क्या, आज सबसे बड़ी देशभक्ति से एनवायरनमेंट को बचाना है। अरे एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम एक छोटी सी बच्ची के जीने के बाद के, सर मुझे देशभक्ति करने के लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा? एपीजे अब्दुल कलाम उससे कहते हैं, बेटा अगर एपीजे तुमको करना है देशभक्ति तो 2 पेड़ लगाओ। 2 पेड़ देशभक्ति है क्या? लेकिन विचार करेंगे तो ध्यान में आएगा कि हम समाज को देने के कुछ है क्या हमारे पास, इसलिए स्वयं के एटीट्यूड को बदलना पड़ेगा, स्वयं की लाइफ स्टाइल को बदलना पड़ेगा। और स्वयं के इस बदलने से, जो यहाँ पर एक टैगलाइन हमारे यहाँ बोलते हैं, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, हम सर्वे भवन्तु की कामना करते हैं। मैं एक गिलास पानी में से आधा गिलास पानी भी झूठा नहीं, पता है आधा गिलास पानी का मतलब इस देश में 150 करोड़ लीटर ड्रिंकिंग वाटर जमीन में और मैंने नाले में बहा दिया, और कहते पानी की कमी। क्या हम इस प्रकार की जो ओवर यूज और मिस यूज है, क्या उसको हम बचा सकते हैं? क्या सस्टेनेबिलिटी की ओर है, और इसलिए सस्टेनेबल अगर हम होंगे तो शाश्वत जिसको बोलते हैं उसके लिए ले जाने की तरफ हमको अपनी मूल संस्कृति, व्यवहार और जमीन से जोड़ना पड़ेगा, अपने विचार से जोड़ना पड़ेगा। इतना मेरा कहना है। धन्यवाद, नमस्कार, भारत माता की जय।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद गोपाल जी, आपने जो एएमसी का फॉर्मूला बताया और इसके अतिरिक्त नेचर के साथ वननेस, क्रिएटिव सॉल्यूशंस विद इन कंस्ट्रेंट्स और सोसाइटी और इंडिविजुअल की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी, सो वी हैड वेरी बैलेंस्ड व्यूज, दो वी of time, we are I think almost 15 minutes late. This is a large topic, there's a lot of things to share and talk. If there is any particular question which someone may have, we don't have much time, but no question, okay. So unfortunately we have, you know, in a time constraint situation. Yeah, please.
No, you tell me. After this.
Sorry to interrupt, but
Okay.
we have to adhere to the timing guidelines because there are further more sessions conducting. We conduct further more sessions the second half of the event. But yes, I would take this opportunity to felicitate our speakers. I would like Dr. Rajesh Servagna to do the honors. Let's felicitate Shri Pravin Darade. Shri Pravin Darade, IAS, Principal Secretary, Environment of Maharashtra. Thank you so much, sir, for being here with us and part of this conversation that we had today. Can we have a big round of applause?
I'll take 1 minute only.
Yes,
what
sir,
the youth
please.
can do as far as environment is concerned. तुम्ही कसं सहभागी होऊ शकतो, तर तुम्ही कसे सहभागी होऊ शकतात, अगदी छोट्या छोट्या गोष्टी मी तुम्हाला सांगतो. यूज LED bulbs or tube lights at home. Take the stairs since you are young instead of elevators. That you can do as a youth. Switch off your vehicle at the red lights. Use rooftop for solar energy if possible. Keep your appliances at home at energy saving mode. That you can do. Run outdoor instead of on treadmill. You can do that. Construct harvesting in the schools, colleges, at home, wherever you go. Prevent wastage of water. Use cloth bags instead of plastic bags. Keep it clean. Do not waste food. Or take whatever is required whenever you are going anywhere in function. Keep water bodies and plastics public spaces clean. And books. Use millets in food. Plant trees and save lives. Discard gadgets in nearest e-recycling units. We have e-recycling units 124 in Maharashtra. Prefer cloud storage over a pen drive. All these activities I think all the youth can do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As rightly said by sir, the small action can result into a greater result, and we need to always be hopeful that we take these initiatives and that will convert our world as a better place to live. We are felicitating Shri Pravin Darade, IAS Principal Secretary, Environment, Government of Maharashtra, sir, for joining us here. I would like to felicitate Shri Gopal Arya, National Convener, Paryavaran Gatividhi. Shri Gopal Arya, आपका खूब खूब धन्यवाद हमारे साथ यहाँ पे उपस्थित रहने के लिए. Our next speaker and moderator, Sri Rajshekhar Joshi, Business and Technology Leader, Sri Rajshekhar Joshi. Thank you so much, sir, for being here with us. With this, we are announcing a lunch break for next 30 minutes. It's 2 p.m. right now. Let's return to this room by 2:30 so we can continue with the program ahead. I would just like to note that for VIPs and guest speakers, we have a separate arrangement for the lunch. Please avail the same. And for rest of you, of course, we have planned something really interesting. I hope you enjoy your time here and have lunch together. We will see you at 2:30. Till the time, enjoy your food. Thank you.
Mumbai, the economic capital of the world's largest democracy. It is a magnet that attracts 1,000 dreams every day. With the industrial, cultural, and political elites living here, Mumbai definitely dictates the trend in the country. The legends and leaders like Swami Vivekananda started their journeys overseas from Mumbai and impressed and changed the world with their philosophies and values. Its temperate climate has been conducive to its growth as the industrial and glamour hub of the country. This city and its suburbs that form the Mumbai metropolitan region has a coastline of 167 kilometers, out of which only 87 kilometers is accessible. This coastline in the past had enabled trades to flourish through the sea route. But today, the coastline and its beaches have become a dark reminder of insensitivity and carelessness of the people living here. In spite of being the economic capital of the country, the beaches are still not defecation-free. The ever-increasing population of the city that comes here with the dream of a better tomorrow and its slums are the biggest contributors of human and chemical waste. The river binaries and creeks of the Mumbai metropolitan region transport all the human waste and the unprocessed chemical waste generated by the industry in the peripheral regions of Mumbai into the ocean. Thus, the coastline that once boasted of abundant and diverse marine life is now lost in the dark and polluted waters. In spite of the efforts by the government to clean beaches, the plastic from over several years is thrown back on the beaches during the monsoon, making legendary Juhu Beach and Queen's Necklace a dump house of trash. The quantity of throwback is so enormous that it is nearly impossible everything. We can confidently say that while the throwback is in several million metric tons, the administrative machinery is equipped to and able to pick up only a few thousand metric tons of the throwback garbage. An estimated only 30% is cleaned up and the rest is dropped back into the ocean. The non-stop marine pollution by the people only adds to the problem. The deluge during monsoons have become a frequent occurrence. The garbage dumping clogs the sewage system and all the rivers that pass through Mumbai. The increasing pollution due to receding mangroves is also an important issue that needs to be addressed. Mumbai metropolitan region consists of local bodies who are responsible for cleaning up of sewage systems, coastlines, river binaries, and creeks. In addition, it is important that the state government and the central government also take up the cleaning of the ocean on priority. Thus, Project Blue has been initiated. The Project Blue believes that the cleaning of the ocean is a two-way process. One is to entirely stop and control any kind of waste from entering not only the ocean but also the rivers, their binaries, and creeks which flow into the ocean. And two is to clean up all the waste that the ocean throws out. This is an enormous task and will require political and social strong will. Thus, we propose that an autonomous government body be formed which will oversee the entire process of cleaning of the ocean and then maintaining the cleanliness. This body should have representation of all the local bodies under the Mumbai metropolitan region, state government, central government, environmentalists, representatives of citizens, and also celebrities and public influencers living in the city. Getting people involved is a very important way to achieve this, and here is a recent case study. During the corona pandemic, when the country was under a complete lockdown, just some days of complete restraint from the people revived the natural balance to some extent. Birds returned to trees and fish returned to the ocean. If people are made responsible and involved in the process of reviving nature, we are confident that we can boast of a blue coastline very soon. Come, let us join hands, clean up, and make our ocean blue again. Project Blue. Mumbai, the economic capital of the world's largest democracy. It is a magnet that attracts 1,000 dreams every day. With the industrial, cultural, and political elites living here, Mumbai definitely dictates the trend in the country. The legends and leaders like Swami Vivekananda started their journeys overseas from Mumbai and impressed and changed the world with their philosophies and values. Its temperate climate has been conducive to its growth as the industrial and glamour hub of the country. This city and its suburbs that form the Mumbai metropolitan region has a coastline of 167 kilometers, out of which only 87 kilometers is accessible. This coastline in the past had enabled trades to flourish through the sea route. But today, the coastline and its beaches have become a dark reminder of insensitivity and carelessness of the people living here. In spite of being the economic capital of the country, the beaches are still not defecation free. The ever-increasing population of the city that comes here with the dream of a better tomorrow and its slums are the biggest contributors of human and chemical waste. The river binaries and creeks of the Mumbai metropolitan region transport all the human waste and the unprocessed chemical waste generated by the industries peripheral regions of Mumbai into the ocean. Thus, the coastline that once boasted of abundant and diverse marine life is now lost in the dark and polluted waters. In spite of the efforts by the government to clean the beaches, the plastic from over several years is thrown back on the beaches during the monsoon, making the legendary Juhu Beach and Queen's Necklace Marine Drive a dump house of trash. The quantity of this throwback is so enormous that it is nearly impossible to clean up everything. We can confidently say that while the throwback is in several million metric tons, the administrative machinery is equipped to pick up only a few thousand metric tons of the throwback garbage. An estimated only 30% is cleaned up and the rest is drawn back into the ocean. The non-stop marine pollution by the people only adds to the problem. The deluge during monsoon have become a recurrence. The garbage dumping clogs the sewer and all the rivers that pass through Mumbai. The increasing pollution due to receding mangrove is also an important issue that needs to be addressed. Mumbai metropolitan region consists of local bodies who are responsible for cleaning up of sewage systems, coastlines, river binaries and creeks. In addition, it is important that the state government and the central government also take up the cleaning of the ocean on priority. Thus, Project Blue has been initiated. The Project Blue believes that the cleaning of the ocean is a two-way process. One is to entirely stop and control any kind of waste from entering not only the ocean but also the rivers, their binaries and creeks which flow into the ocean. Two is to clean up all the waste that the ocean throws out. This is an enormous task and will require political and social strong will. Thus, an autonomous government body be formed which will oversee the entire process of cleaning of the ocean and then maintaining the cleanliness. This body should have representation of all the local bodies under the Mumbai metropolitan region, state government, central government, environmentalists, representatives of citizens, and also celebrities and public influencers living in the city. Getting people involved is a very important way to achieve this, and here is a recent case study. During the corona pandemic, when she was under a complete lockdown, just some days of complete restraint, people survived the natural extent. Birds returned to trees and fish returned to the ocean. If people are made responsible and involved in the process of reviving nature, we are confident that we can boast of a blue coastline very soon. Come, let us join hands, clean up, and make our ocean blue again.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would request everybody to please join us back in the auditorium and take your seats. We will be starting with the next session very soon. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. Would request everybody to please join us back over here and take your seats. We'll be beginning with the next session very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause to our panel members who will be here with us. Well, we have our special guest who has just arrived, Shri Mangal Prabhat Lodha. Shri Mangal Prabhat Lodha, Honorable Cabinet Minister, Government of Maharashtra, is here with us on the stage. Can we give him a big round of applause? And along with that, we will have the panelists for the next session. The theme for the next session is De-Slumify Mumbai, the road from urban jungle to urban bliss. I repeat, De-Slumify Mumbai, the road from urban jungle to urban bliss. To talk about it, I would like to invite on stage Shri Sudhindra Kulkarni ji, ex-chairman ORF Mumbai. Shri Sudhindra Kulkarni ji, please join us on the stage, please. Along with that, would request Dr. Mala Singh. Dr. Mala Singh, co-chair Indian Green Building Council, IGBC, CII, Mumbai. Dr. Mala Singh, co-chair Indian Green Building Council, IGBC, CII, Mumbai. Speaker Shri Rajiv Mishra. Shri Rajiv Mishra. Principal Shri JJ College of Architecture, University of Mumbai. Shri Rajiv Mishra. And along with that, of course, our very own speaker and moderator, Shri Sudhindra Kulkarni ji, And as we have our special guest here, Shri Mangal Prabhat Lodha, the Honorable Cabinet Minister, Government of Maharashtra, they will be talking about de-slumifying and how we can make this place a better place to live. It involves a wide range of interventions. It is a process of improving conditions in the slum area and upgrading the life of the people to the higher standard of living. It involves interventions from basic services such as providing clean water and sanitation to upgrading housing and infrastructure and creating opportunities for employment and income generation. The goal of Islamification is to improve the quality of the residents in slum areas and create neighborhoods. I would hand over it to the panel to discuss further. Over to you, sir.
महाराष्ट्राचे कॅबिनेट मंत्री मंगल प्रभात लोढाजी, माझे को पॅनलिस्ट, सर्वांना नमस्कार. I am happy once again to be participating in this summit for the second time. And thank you once again, Rajesh ji, for inviting me. The subject of this session is de-slumify Mumbai, the road from an urban jungle to an urban bliss. If you don't mind, I have a problem with the way this topic has been formulated, especially in the context of sustainability, making Mumbai sustainable. When we say de-slumify, it has a negative connotation, and it conveys that slums are a problem. Decommunalizing society, decriminalizing society, de-addiction, decarbonizing the economy. If you look at these terms, addiction is a problem, criminalization is a problem, communalism is a problem, carbonization of the economy is a problem, and similarly, slums are a problem, and therefore we need to de-slumify. Friends, it's my belief that slums are not a problem. Slums are an outcome of a deeper problem. And especially in the context of sustainability, let me tell you why we need to approach this in a very different way. If you look at the world as a whole, the richest 1% of the population contribute 15% of greenhouse emissions. 1% richest account for 40% of greenhouse emissions, whereas 50% of the poorest population in the world account for 7% of the greenhouse emissions. So who is responsible for the climate crisis? Is it slums? Is it the poor people? Or the rich and the super rich? This is my argument number one. Second, I mentioned in a previous session that there are four major contributors to the greenhouse emissions. The four C's. The first C is coal. The second is combustion. The third is concrete. And the fourth is cows, especially in the Western world, where cows for meat production. So meat industry is a huge contributor to greenhouse emissions and therefore to the climate crisis. But coming to the third one, that is concrete, housing. Who uses more concrete? Is it slums or is it the kind of buildings that are coming up for the rich, which even the middle class cannot afford? This is my second argument. The third, in the way this subject has been formulated, the road from an urban jungle to an urban bliss. Who has created this jungle? Is it slums that have created the jungle, or is it unplanned construction of all structures? I would request, and I would urge those who are concerned about making Mumbai sustainable, India sustainable, and the world sustainable, to look at this problem in a different way. Don't look at the poor people as the problem. Poor people are not contributing to the climate crisis. Of course, they are, but their contribution is much, much less. It's only when we change our attitude can we think of and can we achieve a sustainable Mumbai and equitable Mumbai. I mentioned in the previous session, friends, that equity and sustainability go together. Without equity, without samanata, without equal opportunities and equal access to land and the resource of Mother Nature, there cannot be sustainability. And what do we find in the way the housing landscape in Mumbai? More than half of our population is condemned to live in slums. It's not their choice, it's their compulsion. Why is it that we have not been able to solve this problem in all these years? It's a question that political establishment, irrespective of parties, they have to do some honest introspection. And we have a cabinet minister who is also from the housing industry. I hope that he throws some light on this. And whenever new housing projects come up, what happens? The poor people living in slums, they are pushed to the margins of the city. Let me give an example, friends. Mumbai मध्ये गिरणगाव होतं ना, आज आहे का? गेलं गिरणगाव गेलं, पण गिरणगाव मध्ये राहणारे लोक कुठे गेले? विचार करा. त्यांना तिथे घर मिळाली काय? त्यांचे मोर्चे निघाले, कितीतरी मोर्चे निघाले. भारतीय जनता पार्टीने मोर्चे काढले, काँग्रेसने काढले, सर्व पार्टीने मोर्चे काढले. पण किती लोकांना, गिरण गावात राहणारे गिरणी कामगारांना किती घर मिळाले? त्या जागी ते कुठे गेले? भाईंदर, मीरा रोड. म्हणजे they have to travel 1 hour, 1.5 hours, 2 hours to their workplaces. Is this equity? Is this Samanta? Can we solve this problem of housing in a sustainable way or in an equitable way by following these policies, friends? So we need a different approach. And I hope that this session, which I'm asked to moderate, throws some light, some new light on how we can have housing for all and good housing for all, livable housing for all, not just housing. ते मुंबई मधले जे ट्रान्झिट कॅम्प्स आहेत ना, स्लम रिडेव्हलपमेंट, तिथल्या विस्थापित लोकांना जे ट्रान्झिट कॅम्प बनवलेले आहेत ते जरा बघा. ते नरक आहेत. Because we don't think that they deserve to live better. You know, we have a panelist here who is an eminent architect. Do we ask the best architects to design homes for the poor. No, the best architects are meant for designing homes for the super rich. This is the problem, friends. And I hope, as I said, that this session throws some light, some new light, a different light on the problem we are facing, and this does not become yet another talk shop. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your opening thoughts and comments. As we have the opportunity to hear it out from our Honorable Cabinet Minister, Government of Maharashtra, I would like to request Shri Mangal Prabhat Lodha to come forward and share his views on this topic. Can we have you here, sir, please?
छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज की पवित्र स्मृति को वंदन करते हुए, भारत रत्न डॉक्टर बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर को वंदन करते हुए, आज परम पूजनीय जिजाऊ माता की जन्मोत्सव है और साथ में विवेकानंद जी का भी आपने यहाँ पर आज पूरा कार्यक्रम ही उनके नाम पर किया है। उन सब पवित्र लोगों को, उन सब लोगों को जिनकी प्रेरणा से हम सब जी रहे हैं, आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, उनको सबको शुरू में प्रणाम करता हूँ। विवेकानंद यूथ फाउंडेशन, यूथ कनेक्ट फाउंडेशन के द्वारा बहुत हिम्मत से इस प्रोग्राम का आयोजन किया है। मैं सबसे पहले राजेश जी और उनके सभी साथियों का मन से अभिनंदन करना चाहता हूँ। यू हैव कम विद ए पॉजिटिव थॉट। किसी को भी कंडेम करना, बुरा करना बहुत आसान है, पर पॉजिटिव बात करना और मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ इसको बताना, यह आपने प्रयास किया, आपने करके बताया है। आपको ये करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं थी, फिर भी आपने समाज के प्रति आपकी जो रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है उसको लेके आपने ये इनिशिएटिव किया है। और ये कार्यक्रम करने में कितनी दिक्कत होती है वो हम सब समझ सकते हैं। मैं राष्ट्रीय स्वयंसेवक संघ का स्वयंसेवक हूँ और बचपन में जो मेरे मुख्य शिक्षक हुआ करते थे, आज योगा योग से गोपाल जी आर्या यहाँ पर बैठे हैं, उनको भी मैं प्रणाम करना चाहता हूँ। मैं ज़्यादा समय आपका नहीं लूँगा। मेरे पहले एक सुधींद्र कुलकर्णी जी का बड़ा हॉट भाषण होके गया, तो मैं उसका जवाब तो नहीं दे सकता हूँ क्योंकि वो हमारे बहुत बड़े नेता हैं। उन्होंने बहुत लंबे समय तक पूरे भारत सरकार के अंदर अडवाणी जी के साथ में मिलकर भारत सरकार को बड़ा रोल किया था, और इसलिए रोल बदलते रहते हैं पर समस्याएं नहीं बदलती और सोच भी नहीं बदलनी चाहिए। ये भी सच है कि न तो किसी ने ये समस्याएं खड़ी की है, न किसी के हाथ में, एक या 5 व्यक्तियों के हाथ में समस्या का हल करना। और जब तक हम इसको जॉइंट रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटीज के रूप में नहीं लेंगे, तब तक मिश्रा जी जे कॉलेज के प्रिंसिपल हैं, उन्होंने ये नहीं किया। माला सिंह जी एनवायरनमेंट की, ग्रीन बिल्डिंग की कमेटी चेयरमैन हैं, उनके हाथ से ये करना चाहिए था, उन्होंने नहीं हो सका। इससे मुंबई की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व नहीं होगी, भारत की प्रॉब्लम की सॉल्व नहीं होगी। भारत की प्रॉब्लम तब सॉल्व होगी कि जब हम आगे कहें कि इस सब में मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ। जंगल में आग लगी है, सारे जानवर अपनी जान बचाकर भाग रहे हैं, उस समय चिड़िया चौंच से पानी बचकर जंगल की आग बुझाने की कोशिश करती है। जानवर उस पर हंसते हैं, इतनी बड़ी आग तेरे चौंच से कब बुझेगी। चिड़िया का जवाब है जो आपका मेरा जवाब होना चाहिए, आग बुझे कि न बुझे, ये जंगल मेरा घर है, संसार है, मैं तो मेरी लास्ट मिनट तक कोशिश करूंगी कि ये आग बुझे। ये दूसरी बात है कि चिड़िया की बात सुनकर हाथी घोड़े सभी लौट के आ गए, किसी ने पूंछ से, किसी ने सूंड से पानी बुझाया तो आग बुझ गई। और हम सबको ये कहानी बहुत सुनी है, चिड़िया का नाम इतिहास में आग लगाने वालों में नहीं, आग बुझाने वालों की लिस्ट में लिखा गया। यहाँ बैठे हुए राजेश जी के नेतृत्व में जो सब लोग राजेश जी के निमंत्रण पर इकट्ठे हुए हैं, उन नाम आग बुझाने वालों की श्रेणी में आना चाहिए। सब तो आग बुझा नहीं पाएंगे, पर हम सब क्या कर सकते हैं। भारत के अंदर आज स्वामी विवेकानंद जी की जयंती है। इसी मुंबई से, यहाँ से 1 किलोमीटर दूर इंडिया गेट से विवेकानंद जी ने प्रस्थान किया था शिकागो के धर्म सभा में भाग लेने के लिए। स्वामी विवेकानंद जी का जो सपना था कि भारत विश्व गुरु बने, और उस समय आपको मेरे से जादू मालूम है कि उनका नाम नरेंद्र दत्त था, असली नाम। संन्यास के बाद उनका नाम विवेकानंद पड़ा। तो मुझे कभी लगता है कि पता नहीं हीराबा ने, हमारे प्रधानमंत्री नरेंद्र भाई मोदी जी की माताजी पिताजी ने नरेंद्र भाई का नाम क्या सोच के नरेंद्र रखा, पर उस नरेंद्र दत्त का सपना कि भारत कभी विश्व गुरु बने, और आज के नरेंद्र भाई के बढ़ते हुए कदम कहीं न कहीं एक ईश्वरीय संकेत की तरफ संकेत दे रहे हैं। पर हम सब लोगों की जिम्मेदारी ये भी बनती है, मैं अपनी बात को लंबा नहीं खींचूंगा, चिड़िया की चोंच की तरह किसने क्या नहीं किया, क्या समस्या है, किसकी क्या जिम्मेदारी है, ये बहुत अच्छी बात है, इसका आकलन होना भी चाहिए। पर मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ इसके बारे में यदि कुछ न कुछ कमिट कर सके। राजेश जी को कोई जरूरत नहीं थी ये कार्यक्रम करने की, उन्होंने मैं क्या कर सकता हूँ, इस देश के अंदर जब आग लगी है, मुंबई के अंदर समस्या है, तो मैं भी इसी तरह सबको बुरा कंडेम करता रहूं कि ये क्या है, वो क्या है, क्यों नहीं हुआ, या मैं इसके लिए कुछ अच्छे लोगों को जोड़कर प्रयास करूं ताकि सबके मन में 10% और विवेकानंद जी के आदर्श की भावना आए, देशभक्ति की भावना है, मुंबई की समस्याओं के प्रति भावना है। मैं इतना जरूर कह सकता हूं कि झोपड़पट्टी स्लम केवल मुंबई की समस्या नहीं है, झोपड़पट्टी स्लम भारत के हर शहर में है। पर ये कोई बहुत गर्व करने की बात नहीं है, कोई बहुत इसको अच्छे बहुत हम रौब से डिक्लेयर करें हम अकेले नहीं है, सब चोर हैं, ये नहीं है, ये पूरी दुनिया के अंदर है। आप दुनिया में कहीं चले जाएं, वहां पर भी आपको कहीं ना कहीं ऐसे इलाके मिलेंगे। ये एक सोशल कल्चर है, सोशल प्रॉब्लम है, हैव और हैव नॉट्स के बीच की झगड़ी। और इसके लिए, इसको समस्या को हल करने के लिए मुझे लगता है कि बुराई तो करनी चाहिए, स्लम क्यों खराब है, ट्रांजिट कैंप क्यों खराब है, कुछ होता क्यों नहीं है, सब करना चाहिए। पर साथ में इस बात की प्रशंसा भी करनी चाहिए कि इस सरकार ने आने के बाद में माननीय नरेंद्र भाई मोदी के नेतृत्व में, माननीय एकनाथ शिंदे और माननीय देवेंद्र फडणवीस जी ने विश्व के सबसे बड़े स्लम को चेंज करके वहां पर स्लम हटाकर पूरे घर बनाने का जो निर्णय किया और काम शुरू हुआ है। और मैं आज आपको विश्वास के साथ में कहता हूं, अभी अपन 2023 के अंदर प्रवेश गए हैं, 2030 के आगे नहीं जाएंगे, 7 साल में मुंबई का सबसे बड़ा स्लम आपको वहां पर पक्के घर दिखेंगे और उन लोगों के घर दिखेंगे जो आपको 100 साल तक केवल सपने देखते रहे, कुछ नहीं किया। मैं अपनी सरकार की वकालत करने को नहीं आया हूं, मैं केवल राजेश जी को अभिनंदन करने के लिए यहां पर आया हूं। और मैं अपनी बात समाप्त करने से पहले इतना जरूर कहना, बहुत सारे बच्चे बैठे हैं यहाँ पर, इनके सामने बहुत बड़ा फ्यूचर है। इन सब बच्चों से भी मैं रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहता हूं कि एक सोशल काम में अपने आप को जोड़िए। यू मे हिट पॉलिटिशियन, यू मे हिट पॉलिटिक्स, यू मे हिट पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज, बट दिस इज योर कंट्री, इट कैन नॉट मूव अहेड विदाउट यू। वी आर द यंगेस्ट कंट्री ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, वी हैव द बिगेस्ट पॉपुलेशन इन द वर्ल्ड, but at the same time you need a direction, and you can have the direction without any teacher, without any book. That can be the reading of the Swami Vivekanand ji. If you read him, you will get lot of ways to read, move ahead. And I will conclude my speech as there is some meeting in the Mantralaya. I have to attend for the meeting. मैं आपसे मन से माफी मांगना चाहता हूं और सब बच्चों से मैं रिक्वेस्ट करना चाहता हूं। मेरे पास स्किल का डिपार्टमेंट है, मेरे पास में पर्यटन का डिपार्टमेंट है। मैं 27 साल के बाद में मंत्री बना हूं, 27 साल से एमएलए था। मैं करना चाहता हूं, आप में से कोई भी कभी भी राजेश जी के थ्रू मुझे बुलाइए, मैं आपके पास आऊंगा। और मैं आपको भाषण देने के लिए नहीं, मैं मन से आपको कहना चाहता हूं कि यदि कोई देश बदलेगा तो हम लोग नहीं बदलेंगे, आप लोग बदलेंगे। जिस दिन युवाओं ने तय कर लिया कि ये देश विवेकानंद जी के मार्ग पर आगे बढ़ना चाहिए, पर इसमें आपको आपका जो खुद का लाइफ का एक एम है, मुझे एमबीए करना है, मुझे अमेरिका में जाके डिग्री नहीं है, मुझे एक मल्टीनेशनल कंपनी के अंदर काम करना है, मुझे स्वयं का बड़ा रोजगार, बड़ी ऑफिस खोलनी है, बड़ा कंपनी खोलनी है, सब सपने देखिए। सारे सपने आपके सच होने चाहिए और सपने देखने का आपको अधिकार है। बड़े सपना देखना आपकी जिम्मेदारी, आपके परिवार ने बहुत सुख दुख से आपको बड़ा इसीलिए किया कि आप उनके जो सपने पूरे नहीं हो सके वो सपने आप पूरे करो। पर साथ में एक बात और रखो कि सप्ताह के अंदर 2 घंटा, दिन के अंदर आधा घंटा, महीने के अंदर 4 घंटा सोशल रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी के लिए मैं क्या कर सकता हूं या क्या कर सकती हूँ दें। यह विषय स्लम के बारे में था। मैंने राजेश जी से आज्ञा ली कि स्लम के बारे में मैं ज्यादा नहीं बोल पाऊंगा क्योंकि स्लम के बारे में पिछले 40 सालों से हम सुन रहे हैं, पर बहुत कुछ, जितने स्लम कम होते हैं उससे ज्यादा स्लम बढ़ते जा रहे हैं। मैंने शुरू में ही कहा ये इंटरनेशनल प्रॉब्लम है, भारत की भी प्रॉब्लम है। और मुझे इस राफगोई के लिए आप क्षमा करें, मैंने आपने दिमाग से बात नहीं की, दिल से बात की है, क्योंकि दिल की बात अच्छे लोगों के बीच में की जाती है। आप मेरे अपने हैं। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, our Honorable Cabinet Minister, Government of Maharashtra, Shri Mangal Prabhat Lodha. I would take this opportunity and request Dr. Rajesh Sarvagna to felicitate our guest, Shri Mangat Prabhat Lodha, Honorable Cabinet Minister, Government of Maharashtra. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us over here in your busy schedule and still making to this meeting today and ensuring that you share your message with the youth out there. शुक्रिया सर हमारे साथ यहाँ पे जुड़ने के लिए please take your seat and be with us till the time you can. We know that you need to join for another meeting, but जब तक possible हो पाए हमारे साथ जुड़े रहिए. We would like to know your thoughts further. I would hand over it to the panel again for the discussion on the same topic. Thank you.
Dhanyavad Lodha ji. We'll continue the discussion, and may I now request Professor Rajiv Mishra ji to enlighten us with his thoughts and his experience, especially from the point of view of making Mumbai not only sustainable, but also making Mumbai beautiful.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I think I'll speak from there. आदरणीय मंगल प्रभात लोढ़ा जी, आदरणीय सुधींद्र कुलकर्णी जी, आदरणीय डॉक्टर माला सिंह, respected audience, beloved students, it's a great privilege for me to be here. I thank the organization of Vivekanand Youth Connect Foundation to invite me and to speak on a very sensitive topic of de-slumifying Mumbai, and to let you know about my thoughts as an architect, as an urban planner, as an urban management specialist. I would like you all to know that as a teacher, teaching architecture for more than 30 years, I have been involved in the process of creating architects who can create beautiful cities through the work that they do all over the country. I currently run Sir J.J. College of Architecture, where the brightest students take admission and contribute to the urban systems, urban areas all over the country. So I would basically do my presentation in 3 parts. My first part would be housing as a subject. My second part would be to tell you what is it that we should understand about urbanization, urban system, and urbanism, which is quality of human life. And third would be actually the slum redevelopment projects that is happening in our city. Okay, so I think we all know that city of Mumbai currently has 2 crore population, and it is also established that around 50% of the population lives in squatter settlements or slum-like conditions in the city. A lot of proposals through the municipal corporation and the state government have been in process of development through slum redevelopment authorities and various organizations. But what is it that we should understand? And why is it that we have slums in any city is very important for us to know. It all starts with what is available, what is acceptable, and what is affordable. I think we need to understand this. Whenever we say acceptable, it means doing housing which is acceptable to people as well as to the local government, because it makes building bylaws for you to live in. What is affordable is having the ability to buy for yourself a home or a housing unit so that you can live with your family and contribute to the city growth. And third part is availability. How much of this is available? So I will repeat: available, affordable, and acceptable. The current situation, whatever is available, acceptable, is not affordable. Whatever is affordable is not acceptable. And therefore, the rise of people not having good housing or acceptable housing for them to live in. We know that there are many people coming to the cities, not for homes and for housing, but for jobs. I think the number of jobs and that a city is the real reason for people to go to the city and not lead to urbanization. So for me, what is very important for you is that because we in any city are not able to provide available housing for people who can afford and acceptable, which is the major chief reason for squatter settlements. But I would also like you to know that before we talk about a squatter citizen or a slum dweller, we need to understand three important things. And the first is urbanization. What do you think is urbanization? Urbanization is the index of economic growth of any place. Urbanization, through the economic growth, creates cities which become engines of economic growth. And therefore, cities are very valuable contributors to the country's growth. The other aspect is urban system. What happens due to urbanization? The population increases and migration takes place. But when a city's capacity is not enough to accommodate all, it creates satellite towns, it creates urban areas in its surrounding. So an urban system is formed. Mumbai metropolitan region is an urban system which has got towns having their own municipal corporations around it. So Mumbai has a Mira Bhayandar Corporation, Vasai Virar Corporation, Navi Mumbai Corporation, and also Ambernath Municipal Council, Badlapur Municipal Council. So they together become an urban system. But what is the success of this urban system? It's a very good, strong transport network. I think about transportation, the session has already happened, so I'll speak less on it. But when the urbanization is high and when the urban system is happening due to the impact of urbanization, what becomes very important is urbanism. Urbanism is a quality of life in any city. To give you an example, if you are earning a lot of money while working in a city, but if you fall sick due to air pollution, due to water pollution, then it is not good for you. So you might earn 3 lakhs per month, but end up spending 1 lakh per month on your health. You would be admitted in a hospital. So if your quality of life is not good, the urbanism is bad. So having understood urbanization, urban system, and urbanism, what now is very important is to see what kind of housing is required to be provided. I think we do not have a national policy of urbanization or a national policy of housing that works for all cities. In fact, I would like you to know that the prosperity of a city generally is known by the amount of slum population in those cities. The maximum percentage of the slum population decides the prosperity of the city because the number of job opportunities in them. At the moment, out of all the 4 metropolitan cities, Mumbai has, in its population growth, maximum percentage, that is 50% living in slum-like condition. Chennai has the least. Calcutta and Delhi follow. But the idea is that if you want to live a good life and enjoy living, you need to have beautiful cities. You need to be proud of your city, because city is a place where if you grow up, it helps everybody of you to decide what you want to become. Okay, so if you grew up in Bangalore, it's different. If you grew up in Bombay, it's different. If you grew up in Ahmedabad or Hyderabad, it's different. But since we are talking about Mumbai, sustainability, I think what is very important is how do we live in Mumbai so that we can have a livable situation. Now, the government tried its own policies, thinking that it will be able to do something to improve the condition of human life, and therefore it came out with proposals. So in Mumbai, the most popular policy that is being followed of slum redevelopment is a land sharing model. If you have a land that is occupied by squatter settlement, then what happens is that 1/3 of the land is carved out for a slum redevelopment project, and 2/3 of the land is provided for if they want affordable housing or housing in order to increase the housing supply. But at the same moment, I would like you to say that because there was a squatter settlement on the land is now available for the supply of affordable housing or supply of housing. So in fact, what we need to understand is that any squatter settlement or any slum is basically a great opportunity for us to not only clean the environment, but also to provide a supply of housing which is so less. The gap between the supply and demand of housing is ever increasing. Affordability is the second aspect, but how to reduce the gap between the housing affordability and the availability is the key issue that we must understand about slum redevelopment. But yes, what we need to also understand that the squatter citizen is actually a great contributor to the city. If there were no squatter colonies, if there were no squatter settlements, we would not be able to run our cities. I would like you to know that all the vegetable vendors, milk vendors, the one who actually iron your clothes, they all live in squatter settlements. If they were not there, we would not have anybody to clean our cities. They are the major labor force who actually can actually help you run a city well. The idea of you having a driver run your car is fine. You pay the driver his salary, but you do not find out where does he stay. And it is in this urban system where he uses the transportation network to commute, to come to your place and work for you as a driver. In fact, before I tell you anything about de-slumifying, I would like you to know that according to me as an academician, my role is that we have yet to see a city where there are no slums. In fact, there is one paper, a technical paper written by Professor Babar Mumtaz of Architectural Association, which says why cities need slums. Why is it that we need to have them? But what he did not mention is that we can improve the of life of the squatter citizens. And therefore, out of the major projects available to the government, SRA, Rehabilitation Authority, is trying to use land sharing model as one of the way to improve the quality of life. Dharavi redevelopment project, a very complicated project. It took more than 10 years for it to be finding its place today because there were many problems with respect to them getting the appropriate housing. You might know that in Dharavi, which is actually a cluster of many migrants, which come from many villages in India. Dharavi, believe me, is a place where you will, if interact with migrants, come to know that some of them are from Tamil Nadu, some of them are from UP, some of them are from Gujarat, and they take turns to come to Bombay every 3 months so that they can earn for themselves a living so that they can take care of their families back home. So I think a squatter citizen is an entrepreneur. He is a person who is fully charged to contribute. He is never a failure. And therefore, while we think of de-slumifying Mumbai, it is something for us young people to understand that they are actually people who are contributing the most to the running of a city, and they are good people, just that they are not able to afford a good housing. I would like you to know that there are many police constables and few of the police force who also stay in slums. Imagine a situation where a police is required to work against illegal settlement. They themselves actually staying. You know why? Because the supply of police housing is a problem. Because the employers have not been able to take care of their employees. And this is a problem. So if you are trying to do a contribution to a city, as long as you are able to take care of the people also working with you, you are then living a better life. There was one economist, Professor Lakdawala sir, who said that for every managing director of a company or a chairman of a company, there are 13 families living out of him who actually do not have as luxury housing as it benefits the managing director of a company, but there are many 12 service providers who are actually providing for the company to be successful, of which he is a managing director. But I guess we need to make employers, corporates understand that the people who work with you, who get your salaries, is good. But then you should also be concerned about their good living. You should be concerned about their good housing, because if you take care of their housing, they will not live in squatter settlements. If you take care of the situation of their living, they will contribute better and give you more per capita income. I think this has not gone well with all the people. The government, besides doing the slum rehabilitation authority, has not provided enough supply of rental housing. Now, rental housing is something that you can provide to people who can live based on their income in a particular place, so that while they are staying in the city, they're able to contribute better. So if you do not want to make employee housing much, if you do not want to take care of their future living conditions, you can provide housing which you can give them on rent. We have many banks who actually have bank quarters. We have many railway employees who have railway quarters. They take care of them because they are worried about their bank performing. Railway quarters are available because their employees run railways because of the revenue that they earn. And therefore, one of the thoughts that I want you all to lead and think more about it is that it is we who need to take care of them rather than they taking care of us. I would like to quote one example of a city called Surat, which became Khubsurat later, because once Surat suffered plague because the slums and the squatter settlements of that city was not being taken care of. And it happened one day that plague spread all over the city, and people had to run out of the cities. The rich and the famous diamond merchants had to run away from the city. So what I'm trying to say is that if we do not take care of the squatter settlements and slums, they will take care of us, and that is what is becoming a problem. I'm glad that many squatter settlement citizens have not taken politics very seriously, because if you imagine 50% of the city of Mumbai staying in squatter settlements, they can actually form their own political party, take care of many services that is provided by the city, and actually become a very strong pressure group. They can actually take care of many things of the city which you can only be deprived of. You will be enslaved without them. And that is what I want everybody to have, this understanding that it is we who need them more than they actually needing us. So when we talk about de-slumifying Mumbai, I would rather be very careful in letting you know that while we do it, we are doing it because we need them. They don't need us. And therefore, the idea of de-slumifying Mumbai is not a service. It is something that you have to do it out of your necessity. You are not contributing anything by de-slumifying. You are actually helping yourself by doing it. And therefore, if you neglect it, if you don't take care of it, then you will be doomed. You will fall sick. You will be in a situation where things will become unmanageable. And therefore, I think we should, as Mumbai, have an authority that provides enough rental housing, that changes the policy of development so that we can make sort a citizen as part of our growth process, as part of our economy, as part of their contribution. And I then think we will become a better group, a better community to live in. Forming gated housing, forming cluster of luxury housing is not the right way, because what is happening today in Mumbai is because of the land price shooting out of the roof. Many people who can afford housing are being able to live in our city. Others who can't afford it have no choice but to live in squatter settlements. And it is we who are responsible in not letting them increase if we take care of their housing, which is, I think, our responsibility as a citizen. And I think I would be very happy if government thinks of providing certain schemes instead of redevelopment projects, asking every corporate, every housing, because Bombay is a city which contributes the most when it comes to the per capita income to the country's growth. And I think time has come, sir, where we naturally have to think for them, because otherwise we will be left out, not they. Thank you very much.
We would like to now call upon Dr. Mala Singh to please present her thoughts on this topic. Please.
So good afternoon, everyone. I hope everybody's awake, right? Nobody's sleeping? Hi, guys. Yeah. So I'm also sitting here from the morning, but let me introduce myself. So my name is Mala, and I'm from Himachal Pradesh. Have you heard about that beautiful place, Himalaya? You know, I'm from that place, born and brought up there. But from last 15 years, I'm also breathing in Mumbai. I'm also eating in Mumbai. I'm also having beautiful life in Mumbai. And being a representative of IGBC, where I'm here today presenting, have you heard about Indian Green Building Council? Any one of you students, have you heard about Indian Green Building Council? Have you heard about green building? Energy efficient building? I think a lot of stuff on the social media, you guys must be hearing about green buildings, energy efficient buildings, resilient cities. So many new terminologies are evolving now. And you know the reasons also, because we are talking about climate change. We have started to talk about global warming and all those things, right? That's what we are talking about decarbonization. We are talking about resource efficiency. Because I am belonging to CII IGBC, and let me tell you guys, IGBC is propagating green building movement across the country, having its journey which is started in 2001 with one building green, which is in Hyderabad, and that is CII's Sharaji Godrej Business Center. So that was just 20,000 square feet area. One building was green in the country. Now that is also net zero building in the country. And today we have 10 billion square feet construction footprints across the country. Because I would like to talk on this specific occasion, because organizers has invited us. I want to share my thoughts on something, you know, which is more a solution oriented, which is more doable, and which I feel that which is our responsibility also to do. Because we all know the problems, because you all guys are checking Insta, social, you know the problems in our country. We know that a lot of congestion, traffic problem, this problem, that problem. We know that. But you guys need a brighter future. You deserve a better and resilient future, right? And you also need jobs, opportunities. You also need to, you know, serve yourself through your better professional careers, and you need the Mumbai as a green and clean city. So we have to make the city beautiful. Already it is beautiful. It's very beautiful. I still find it very beautiful. But still, today, why we are talking about decarbonization, and we are talking that, oh, we how to start green living from environmental sustainability point of view. So here we would like to address my city. I know that what I am consuming and what I need now, further in future and present. This is what I need to give my more brainstorming should be on that. Doesn't matter. I'm living in an affordable house in 1 bed, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, wherever. How efficiently I utilize my resources, that's the important aspect of environment. Because we need to understand whether it doesn't matter whatever I'm in a high-rise building where I have a 5,000 square feet flat, or I'm living in a small house. Most important is my thinking process, my respect to nature. That's the most important thing. I'll tell you, the people I have seen, nature doesn't matter they are living in a very lavish area or whatever. Doesn't matter. It is only your soch. It's only your thought process. And let me tell you, friends, Mother Earth can live without dinosaurs. She can sustain without human beings also. But it is us who needs her, because we don't have planet B. We are having only one Mother Earth. Doesn't matter wherever I'm staying, I'm in Mumbai or I'm in here, I'm staying somewhere, US, Canada, I think I should have the same respect towards my natural resources. Wherever in locality, community, wherever I'm staying, I should know that how to utilize my resource, how to respect that. So coming to the Mumbai's development now, I would like to share also with you that when I have started to talk about green building, I think you guys should know, anybody of you know that? What is the definition of green building? It has derived from the Indian ethos, our ancient ethos. Anybody can tell me what is green building from your perspective? It is environment friendly, right? Anybody from a young youth wing sitting there? What do you think? You are staying in your home, your society. Suppose I say your society has to be green. So what do you think? How this building? So do you understand your environmental parameters? We all are talking from the morning. We should save Mother Earth. We should save water. We are talking about blue ocean. But guys, first, we are talking about, there is another way of talking, and macro and micro. सबसे पहले शुरुआत कहाँ से होती है? Charity begins at home. शुरुआत कहाँ से होती है? अपने घर से. And I'll tell you, have you heard about 3 principles, 3R principles? What are those principles? Reduce, recycle, and reuse. So we know that I was just reading that the Dharvi, slum, they are able to just recycle 15,000 tons of Mumbai's entire plastic waste, because they are the biggest contributor for the economy. That is also fact. We can't ignore that. That's what we are talking today in this kind of platform, that when we create policies, our policy makers makes the policies, they have to be inclusive also. So all the stakeholders, participation, everything comes into the development. When it comes to the environment, so we talk about water, energy, we talk about our biodiversity, and we also talk about indoor air quality. Have you heard this terminology, indoor air quality? We are sitting in this hall. Ever you thought that what kind of, air quality I'm breathing in? Have you thought about this? So this is what, when we are talking about a green building, now I'll tell you the definition of green building. I'll tell you IGBC has developed this green building definition in 2001, and the definition is based on Panch Bhutas, which is our Panch Tattva, 5 elements of Mother Earth. And whenever an architect, he design a building, so I'll tell you, if he doesn't think about these 5 elements of Mother Earth, if we don't integrate those aspects in the design, so that design is never resilient, that can never be green by nature, neither it can be eco-friendly. So these Panch Bhutas, when I'm talking about, let me start with the fire, Agni. So what we are addressing here, can somebody can tell me? We are addressing here which component of the development, which is we reclaim your lighting, your everything, that's the energy, urja, fire. So that comes from the Panch Bhutas, this element, that Agni. This is what, green buildings, very, very important component when we talk about green housing. Now let's talk about the second component of Panch Bhuta, that is Jal, which we are talking, from the morning, that blue ocean, pani. आपको पता है धरती में कितना पानी है? How much is the potable water available for us, students? अच्छा, कितना सी वाटर है? Yes. और बाकी जितना पानी है उसमें how much is the potable water available for you? Very negligible, right? And that also comes from, small these lakes or some glaciers are melting, so we are getting some water from rivers and all that, which all again, we are, then the river pollution and all those things will come into the picture. But in water, when I'm addressing water component in the development, so here I'm talking about that Jal, Panch Bhuta. So we need to start to respect Jal. Have you seen old forts in India? All the ancient, our heritage forts, they used to have the rainwater harvesting, large ponds. Do you know that? Those kind of kings and emperors, they were making those large ponds because they know the security. They don't feel that, the only for the growth you need money and resources, but water is also such an important asset. So our natural resources. So they were preserving that water, no reason, for their community, for their people. So by heritage, by our ancient value, we were green already. We just forgot that only. So that's what we are talking today, de-slumming. We are talking the concept of urban concrete, urban jungle, urban bliss. We are just, going back. So now third concept of Panch Tattva. When we are talking about a Bhumi, Dhara. Here I'm addressing in the development part, doesn't matter it is a SRA development or it is a Lodha builders building or anybody's building. It doesn't matter for a sustainability or environmental person. He has to see only resource efficiency, and he or she should know how to respect natural resources, whatever comes within the jurisdiction of my capacity. What I'm utilizing, how I'm utilizing, how much I'm reducing, and how much I'm recycling and reuse. So when it comes to the Dhara, so what happened when we do any kind of development in the green building approach? We understand the existing fauna, we pick the existing trees, we transplant those trees. So those kind of methodologies are, being addressed in the green building approach. This is what my point is, कि when we apply green housing or green building approach in making Mumbai beautiful, in making, I will not use the word slum free or something, but making Mumbai beautiful and doing a very nice sustainable development. So green building approach is must for every building. Now I want to tell you the fourth one, fourth Panchbhuta, where I'm talking about Vayu, Hawa. We are not doing justice with that, and we have destroyed that air quality. That is another thing. But still we need air to breathe, right? So when we are designing and we are looking into the technology and design interventions in houses, in dwelling units, so it's a very important component that how much air is coming in my house and what is the source of that air. अभी क्या होता है कि आजकल whenever you are sitting in a place like this, commercial spaces, you know, I'm talking about, which are centralized AC. So then you breathe. Here there is no fresh air, right? There is no window. So what kind of air you are breathing? There is a mechanical system. So you are getting the air from a mechanical machine through filtration system. So this is what green building also preaches us, tells us, and gives us the way that what kind of strategy is required in what kind of project development, either in residential, housing, commercial. So all those aspects are very beautifully addressed, which is very in line to Panchbhutas again. Because even in your living room, we know that how much air a human being require. In your kitchen, how much air is the requirement? I think sir will be agree with me. This is already addressed in the National Building Code of India. Most of you are not from engineering background, but if you just Google and see that National Building Code of India and chapter number 4 there addressed all those things, that how much a human being needs, you know, air. So that's again the green concept in a house. So air is very important. Now then, Akash. Akash, when I'm addressing as a Panchbhuta, we are going to address the importance of sunlight. So doesn't matter if it is a house of slum redevelopment, doesn't matter it is a house of, it is a luxury house. Because in a green building approach, we look into the importance of daylight. So as much daylight come in your house, you use less energy, isn't it? Then you will switch air. So this is what the green building concept. So finally, what is the definition? A building which consume less materials. I will explain you later. Which consume less water, which creates less waste. We are talking about waste from when we are starting to demand for the green homes and green housing as tenant to the builders. I'll tell you, friends, you are basically looking into the 3 principles: cycle and reuse. Because all these, you know, these are basically very common sense actually. Our ancestors used to follow these already as their lifestyle. But now in the building, in the development, or maybe it is a township or it is a very big master plan, doesn't matter. It may be a city. We have to think about that green building concept, how it can be integrated, making my Mumbai city beautiful. Every building from the micro level has to be green. That's the point here. And before I just go there, I think I would like to also with you, friends, that Government of Maharashtra in the DCR 2020, which is a 300-page document, there is already importance of green buildings are defined in that, and government has given extra incentive for the non-MMR region. MMR region is exempted in that, but for the non-MMR like Thane, if you are in Dombivli or you know, adjoining area of the Bombay, you have that privilege entire Maharashtra. So that is another thing, that's a kind of incentives and benefits, but those are fiscal benefits. And what are the intangible benefits? That is when you are starting to live in a green buildings, you are basically saving energy. When you are saving energy, automatically you are reducing your carbon emissions because your electricity, you are using green energy resources in that. You are materials which are green products, which are anybody of you know product can be also green apart from the development. There are so many products in the industry, more than 5,000 products which are green certified. Green certified means when they have manufactured those products, they have used life cycle cost assessment for making that product from the cradle to grave theory. You must be knowing that, right? Somebody talked about circular economy in the morning. So here we are trying to basically convey to you guys that any kind of development that may be affordable by nature for slum rehabilitation people, and maybe for luxury, it doesn't matter which class or what. Because when something will happen, the consequences of global warming and climate change, nobody is going to ask your status, nobody is going to ask in which building you are staying. Anybody is going to ask you when tsunami or something, something happened, doesn't, when disaster happens, right? So idea here is to make Mumbai beautiful. Let's think responsibly, let's act responsibly, and let's build all the projects with the green build concept and making green housing more popular and increase its demand. So green products are also becoming more popular, and you people will also have a bright future, because all areas of jobs and opportunities, let me tell you, it is only based on the climate subject now. Any corporate you join, any company you join, you should have the basic knowledge of climate and environmental sustainability. This is what just I wanted to share my views. So you have the solutions, you have the way to do it, to implement it. So let's just do it. Let's not just think about problems all the time, but let's work on the things which are doable and we can achieve out of that. And today, because we don't have time too much, otherwise next time we can show you the case studies also. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much to all the panel members for being here with us and discussing about this topic. I would take this opportunity to felicitate our guests and speakers today. Would request Dr. Rajesh Sarvagna to do the honors. Shri Sudhindra Kulkarni ji, ex-chairman ORF Mumbai. Thank you so much, sir. I think you have been a key personnel throughout the summit, participating into different sessions and sharing your views. Thank you so much for joining us for the day. Next, Dr. Mala Singh, Co-Chair, Indian Green Building Council, IGBC, CII, Mumbai. Dr. Mala Singh, Co-Chair, Indian Green Building Council, IGBC, CII, Mumbai. Speaker, Shri Rajiv Mishra, Principal, JJ College of Architecture of Mumbai. Shri Rajiv Mishra, Principal, Shri JJ College of Architecture, University of Mumbai. Thanks to all the dignitaries who are there on the dais. Would request you to take your seats in the first row, and we'll move ahead with the next session. Let me introduce you to the next session for the day, and that is regarding a fireside chat on sustainable finance and green bonds. I'll brief you a little meanwhile our dignitaries settle down. Financing sustainability refers to a provision of financial resources to support projects and activities that have positive impact on environment and society. It is a way of financing environmentally and socially beneficial projects that would not have been financed otherwise due to their long-term and uncertain returns and higher risk compared to traditional tools of investment. The goal of sustainability financing is to support the tradition and transition from sustainable economy by making it easier for organizations to invest in green infrastructure, renewable energy, clean technology, and other sustainable projects. It's worth noting that sustainability financing is relatively a new field and can be little complex. and is evolving with the different types of solution. And that's where we need the opinion of the experts. I would like to invite our panel members on the stage. Can we have Shri Saurabh Kamdar, Associate Partner, ESG, KPMG. Shri Saurabh Kamdar, can we have you, sir, on the stage, please? Associate Partner, ESG, KPMG. Along with that, I would like to invite on stage Ms. Rupa Satish, Country Head, Sustainable Banking and CSR Head, Portfolio Management and Decision Science, IndusInd Bank Limited. I would request Ms. Rupa Satish to join us on the stage, please. Oh, please. Please, I would request you to please take your seats. So they're going to talk about how we can, and I think this is the most important topic because everything else is always dependent on finance. And if we talk about financial sustainability, I think rest of itself. We have the experts from the industry who have joined us here today. This will be a fireside chat on sustainable finance and green bonds. Thank you so much to Shri Saurabh Kamdar and Ms. Rupa Satish for joining us over here. I would like to hand over the mic to you. Please, let's have open discussion and a chat over sustainable finance and green bonds. Over to you.
Hello.
Hello. Yes.
So much. It's a pleasure to be here amongst all of you. Sustainable finance is a subject which has been often debated, often asked about. So I think we are happy to be here. Just as introduction, I'll introduce myself. I'm Saurabh Kamdar. I'm an associate partner at KPMG. I lead the sustainable finance services on the consulting side in the advisory practice of KPMG. I have about 2 decades of experience across energy, clean technology, and financing. I have had a background of working with CRISIL, Larsen and Toubro, and SBI earlier, and happy to be here and have with over corporate banking experience. Let Rupa introduce herself, and over to you, Rupa.
Thank you. Nothing legendary and all that. That is just sort of being very kind. So my name is Rupa Satish. I have been in banking for close to 30 years now, largely a corporate banker. But over the years, interestingly, I have found myself, becoming more and more tilting towards sustainability. So much so that over the last few years, I've seen myself transform my career into a sustainability champion. And I now head the sustainability unit in IndusInd Bank. And I have also I'm happy to see so many students here because I'm also learning. It's a new area. It's important that, we are continuously keep ourselves abreast of developments in this place. So very happy to be here and share whatever experience we have in this area.
Thank you, Rupa, for making it today. It's just a huge privilege to be sharing stage with you today. Just to kind of provide a little bit of background and context in terms of how sustainable finance gets defined in terms of taxonomy, in terms of frameworks, in terms of the standards and benchmarks. Particularly around the world, there has been an increasing trend about green and sustainable finance across the board, be it say clean technologies, be it say energy transition, be it decarbonization initiatives, be it a lot of initiatives on empowering the communities, societies, and population at large. So I think anything which goes towards funding any of these developmental initiatives, largely I classify it into two, in terms of a lot of developmental initiatives which help the social or socio-economic causes, or they are targeted towards a lot of environmental factors, be it mitigating climate change, be it kind of transitioning to newer technologies which are much more cleaner, or for that matter in terms of process or efficiency improvement. So any funding which kind of is specifically targeted towards promoting and supporting these causes broadly gets classified as sustainable finance. The huge dilemma though is the number of projects or the number of causes which are typically available far outnumber the actual availability of funding for such projects. So I think that has been a huge challenge, and I think Rupa would agree with me in terms of the number of initiatives which might be coming to her table, just competing for kind of bandwidth and potential. I think it far outnumbers the kind of opportunities that we have to fund them. Of course, India has had a little bit ups and down in terms of our sustainable finance journey, but nonetheless, bit by bit, we are getting it right. The huge things that I should speak about is a lot of focus which is coming from the regulatory circles in terms of at least discussion papers, in terms of consultation papers, particularly around areas such as green bonds, blue bonds, yellow bonds. These subjects appear a little obscure in terms of why they are numbered by colors, but of course there is a background to it. Green for the environmental supportive projects, blue for anything linked to water conservation, or for that matter in terms of protection of water bodies, yellow for particularly any initiatives which are linked to solar based projects, or kind of the technologies around solar value chain. So I think a lot of interesting things are happening in the entire sustainable finance well. I'll not kind of hold you back from hearing more thoughts from you, Rupa, particularly given her practical experience looking at not only the sustainable fees, but also hands-on funding and supporting project development and corporates on their initiatives. So Rupa, sustainable finance has emerged as a key theme in the last 10 to 12 years, and by the day it is picking up traction. As a bank, what are the avenues that you see, or what is the landscape that you see for yourself as a banker?
So the banking sector overall, like you rightly said a while ago, is coping with this, with this whole transition that the country is facing, because the way in which these projects are coming in. Just so that we are on the same page, there are various types of banks. You have private sector, you have government-owned banks. And what is happening globally is catching up very fast with foreign banks, who are that globally their counterparts have committed to financing only sustainable. That if there is a coal, or there is a thermal linked, or any carbon linked product, banks are, it goes unfinanced in Europe. The trend is extremely strong. And so, they sort of try to apply that in India. India is a developing, country, and therefore we have mix of become a green nation. It has to be a balanced sort of growth, keeping both development and sustainability in mind. So you have these private sector banks in India who are trying to make this transition and are trying to realign their portfolios. So they have perhaps in the past funded some of these non-sustainable deals, and now they are trying to see how the rebalancing can come. They are looking for growing their sustainable finance portfolios. But at the same time, you must also get projects which are doable. A lot of startups that are currently there, you cannot blindly lend to startups. Many startups fail, and they don't, many new technologies fail. So one has to responsibly lend when you're taking those calls. You cannot only lend because it is good for the environment. The project also has to, stand up and generate cash flows. So that's what the private sector is going through. And am I going? And the banks like SBI, Bank of India, the nationalized banks, they have always been in India developmental focused right from beginning, and they are there where the country's needs are. So earlier, if the country was setting up thermal plants, they finance thermal plants. As the country is transitioning, they are with the country's requirements. So if you have seen last year, SBI has grown their green portfolio considerably. So they are into financing green energy now in a significant manner. They still have their thermal portfolio. They cannot just ask the companies to repay those loans. They still have that exposure, but they are trying to realign as well. But the problem that we banking sector today is that everybody is not at the same level of awareness. Some people are ahead of the others. So Reserve Bank of India is now coming in and trying to create a more level playing field. They are saying that let us define these things very clearly. What will qualify as sustainable finance? What will not qualify? How do you assess risk of companies? How do you say no to certain deals, and why should you finance certain deals? How do you disclose your book, and so on and so forth? So that, and also capacity building, because banks don't know how to assess environmental risk. ESG risk is very different from credit risk assessment because of the nature of the risk embedded in it. Climate risk, when we say anything can happen anytime, right? You cannot predict with great certainty when an earthquake will happen and which company which is situated in one a particular district is going to go bankrupt because of an earthquake or a flooding or an excessive heat problem in that particular region. Very difficult to predict. So long tenor problems, and as well as the sudden impact nature of climate risk makes it very difficult to embed ESG risk when you're taking these calls. So Reserve Bank of India is trying to get all banks aligned on the same. It's a difficult long term sort of a process, but banks are trying to cope up.
No, thanks. I think that's a very comprehensive perspective, Rupa. One kind of just taking a leaf from you, I think if I were to summarize the entire landscape in terms of stakeholders, clearly at the policy making level, there is the ministry, which is kind of from the guiding policy, is very, very important. Second comes the regulators, which are very important in terms of driving the right framework, structures, nuances in terms of what can be classified as sustainable, what cannot be classified as sustainable. The third and important leg is particularly the corporates or project developers who really put out the risk in terms of taking up initiative and driving projects. And most importantly, the fourth, the financiers or bankers like yourself who really sponsor and take the kind of leap of faith that these are the projects which will deliver over immediate, medium, and long term and help the entire value chain set goals, set targets, evaluate themselves. So in that context, Rupa, wanted to check on one more thought from you in terms of what are the opportunities in the domain, in the clean and sustainable finance domain, and what are the key segments that you see evolving?
So in the environmental side, some of the large opportunities which are out there, which banks must prepare for financing. One is certainly in the energy sector as it transitions. It's been going on for some time. So green and renewable energy finance has been on the rise over the last, I would say, at least 8 to 10 years have come up. The government's ambition of increasing the percentage of green finance for or green energy in the overall energy portfolio is very laudable, and more and more of this. And so this is, I'm talking about solar, wind, hydro, a combination of all these things. So energy is a big space. Another big space is going to be transportation, which is also a large industry contributing to emissions. As we prepare for a transition to electric vehicles, the entire industry will undergo very significant changes, and so this will result in multiple opportunities across the value chain, right from the manufacturers of cars and large heavy transport like lorries and commercial vehicles, to their vendors, to battery and component suppliers, to infrastructure providers for electric vehicles, because you need the infrastructure by way of battery charging, not petrol stations that we see today everywhere. So you need a change in the entire infrastructure and an entire value chain. So that is going to see a tremendous boost. So these are very clearly on the environmental side. And on the social side, I would say affordable housing, affordable healthcare. We are very short of both these infrastructures in India. Microfinance has seen a huge thrust. COVID impacted that sector a little badly, but microfinance will be back. So another big impact area will be microfinance. And lastly, I would say the MSME sector, which is the backbone really of it, banks have always provided.
Sure. No, as we kind of evaluate the entire, to share with you and just to demystify some of the terminologies, particularly in terms of the instruments being used. There could be multiple types of instruments, and a lot of terminologies are sometimes used interchangeably. But in terms of bonds, there could be impact bonds, there could be transition bonds, there are social bonds, there could be greens. The end utilization or how the funds are utilized and just to give you an example, if it were for energy transition in terms of transitioning to something which is more energy efficient or cleaner in terms of emissions, typically gets classified in terms of funding for transition related instruments. And particularly the first instrument which is very commonly used in particular 2021 itself, $7 billion of green and social bonds were raised. So bonds is one form of structure which is typically used. Second is sustainability linked loans. So I think loans are funded. I think it has a project which is really kind of geared to deliver on the milestones of either social or environmental causes. It can be classified under sustainability linked loans. Likewise, other products are significantly evolving, be it say in terms of green leasing, green insurance. There have been a number of ESG funds launched by mutual funds, which are kind of sponsoring a lot of ESG conscious companies. So typically, just to demystify some of the terminologies used, it could be aims, it could be in terms of insurance or leasing initiatives to provide guarantees or insurance cover in terms of some of the sustainability funding requirements. Now, particularly coming to one area which I was trying to explain, be it say social impact bonds. A lot of municipalities have also launched bonds and kind of have sought investors kind of to subscribe into these bonds. Broadly, from an investor lens, what are the challenges that you kind of see, and what are the hindrances typically investors to these bonds have kind of evaluated?
So just to clarify to others, so a social bond or a impact bond is something where, there's a person or a project which needs money. It achieves a certain specific objective, and there is a outcome which is associated with it. So suppose the outcome by the municipality, as soon as the hospital set up, they are willing to release that money. So there is an original investor who comes and says, okay, I will take the risk and I will give you this money. The government says, as soon as these hospital and infrastructure is set up in my municipality, I will pay the money back to the risk investor. So you have a risk investor, you have an outcome funder, and then you have a project implementer. And then you have a third party who is an impact assessor, who assesses whether actually the impact that was supposed to be achieved has been achieved or not. Now, this can happen in any area. It can happen in education, it can happen in healthcare, like the example I gave. It can happen in improving livelihoods. Tata Group set up something called Lakhpati Kisan. They said, I will make each farmer a Lakhpati. So their objective was the farmer becomes a Lakhpati. And if the Lakhpati objective is fulfilled, Tata Trust gave the money. And you had a risk investor who had to come in and support this. So any good social outcome can be taken, and you can work through. Now the problem is, because there are so many players, this particular instrument has not become very popular in India, because people tend to come with it with their own angles, and they complicate the structure unnecessarily. And secondly, what has happened is also that unless you have banks coming into these kind of instruments and saying, I will finance this, you will never get scale. So small deals have been done in various, with various governments. I have done one small education bond in Haryana. Pune municipality did a bond recently in healthcare, and so on and so forth. But it has not been very successful in India because of this reason, because people overcomplicate the structure and it becomes very difficult. Also, banks are not able to understand and comprehend what is exactly the risk in this project. Because if the impact assessor says that the objective is not achieved, even if the hospital is up and running, but if the impact guy is saying that it's not done, then the money will not come. So it gets too complex, and so banks are shying away from this. So I would love to work with BMC if they are considering any of this in trying to simplify it, and invite banks to come into it. Once bank comes into these kind of structures, I think it simplifies, and scale comes in financing, and that can get replicated then with multiple other municipalities in various other states.
No, just Rupa, to add on to some of the challenges typically as more outsiders or more independent advisors that we particularly see in the entire landscape. One critical aspect that we keep in mind is the risk of greenwashing in terms of how funds are finally utilized or deployed. I think that becomes very, very important for us whenever we look at project evaluations or working with any institutions in terms of the utilization of funds. Second, particularly in the context of a lot of areas that we have spoken of in terms of the clean technologies, the technology risk becomes very paramount in terms of how the technology pans out and the desired outcomes. Just to give you a very simple example, we have worked on a whole host of rooftop solar projects. And there, in terms of the module efficiencies, the degradation rates, that becomes very, very important, very technical parameters. And as we move from one technology to another, the parameters completely change, be it from, say, solar to wind to battery to now the much spoken about green hydrogen. I think the technical parameters in evaluation of technology becomes very important. And the third parameter, more again as an advisor, as a independent observer, is in terms of the market infrastructure, in terms of how the entire market is geared and what is the acceptability of a lot of norms that kind of get developed. So I think typically these are the three areas of evaluation, not necessarily risks in terms of that we always keep in mind, particularly greenwashing, the technology related areas, and market infrastructure related things. Just moving, sorry.
No, sorry. No, so you're absolutely right. So on the greenwashing, to clarify, basically greenwashing is when somebody says that I am using it for a green project, but it is not actually that green as he claims it to be. And so what we do as financiers is we ask for an independent assurance certificate from reputed, big four audit firms like KPMG and so on and so forth, so that because you cannot get into the technical aspect of it, he is making a claim. So all we can do is get it assured by an independent party. And he said, and the independent party is reputed enough, and they will provide a certificate that, this is green. And of course, there are some shades there. If it's 100% green, they call it really dark green and light green and so on and so forth. But one need not, again, people try to complicate simple things, overcomplicate it. But even if we can get a simple certification, for example, IndusInd Bank raised green deposits from public. So we told the individuals that you can place deposits with the bank, which we will use to finance only green projects. And we said to them that we will give you a green certificate saying that your 1 lakh rupees has gone towards this project in, say, green buildings. Somebody spoke about green buildings, energy efficient buildings, and so on and so forth. And there we have said that the bank will provide a assurance certificate from a audit firm. So that's the way we protect the interest of the and technology risk. Yeah, one will have to see how it pans out, because we hope the big industrial houses who are setting up these these newer projects also tie in because India plans to be an exporter in this space. So I'm sure the necessary due diligence and the technology will get developed over time. So banks will have to work out some structures by which the existing balance sheets provide some comfort to the bank, so that we are not asked to take that technology risk.
Absolutely. Speaking of that, Rupa, wanted to draw upon your experience, particularly at the bank, having heard a lot in terms of the entire credit evaluation system, the risk management system. You have committed yourself to IFC performance standards. So I think just wanted to draw upon that angle a little bit, switching gears. Can you just help us understand in terms of how, as a bank, the entire credit appraisal and the risk management process is geared towards addressing the changing needs of sustainable banking?
So I'll just keep it simple so that we can understand the core principle. So banks normally what they do is they look at the balance sheet and the financials of the company, and they say that if I give a loan to this company, does he make enough profits to repay me back within 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and so on and so forth. So now what is coming in place is something called an ENS assessment, which is you also assess, apart from the credit of the customer, apart from his financial strength, you also assess whether he meets your ESG standards. What that means is, so in IndusInd Bank, for example, what we have is, first we are saying that we will not finance at all certain industries. So there is an exclusion list. So automatically, if the borrower does any of those activities which we have mentioned in our exclusion list, and it's on the bank's website in terms of a full disclosure, we are saying, don't come to us. We are not going to finance these activities. After, if those exclusion lists are, if you're not in that, if you are in activities that we would like to finance, then again what we have done is we have classified the industries based on high risk industries, high climate risk, high ESG risk industries, medium ESG risk industries, and low risk industries. If it is a low and medium risk industries, the business teams are encouraged to. There is a scoring mechanism, and then they score the customer based on whether you are fulfilling all your norms, pollution control, theek hai, whether your water discharge is proper, whether your work and environmental related work and safety practices are okay, your vendor practices are okay. So there is a detailed checklist which is provided. They score them on that and they pass it. If they are to examine a high ESG risk industry, it becomes a little tricky because now you are looking at industries like mining, for example. While mining on the one hand is important for development in India, it also sometimes is done in eco-sensitive regions, which is causing a habitat loss. So one has to, counterbalance these two things. It requires therefore an escalation of assessment, and it comes to the sustainability team. So we look at it in a deeper manner, assessing, maybe you cannot do away with this mining. For example, in the northeastern region, there are some mines that are necessary because the economic dependence of northeastern region is dependent on some of those mines, and they provide livelihood for human beings. But at the same time, there is a conflict with elephants in that region, and it provides maximum conflict. Elephant zones are also there. So how do you balance this? How do you live in harmony a little bit, so that you put in policies in place, you make sure that you do your activities such that you are also not unduly, you cannot little bit move into that space. You are at the end of the day going to cut down certain forest and impact certain corridors for elephants. But at the same time, you try and see, there are experts who come in and who provide alternate routes and other methods. Then there is the environment ministry approval, which is right today, it is pretty intensive. It doesn't come in very easily as it used to in the past. The standards are quite high when the Ministry of Environment today sanctions proposals. So they go through all these things. Then you have also the National Green Tribunal. If they see that acha approval de diya, but you are not meeting those norms, you are doing something. So somebody built some wall, they prevented this. So then they are charged a heavy penalty. So you examine all these documents, you see whether the company is not just doing it in just a tick mark in the box, but actually in spirit, trying to maintain that sensitive balance in that ecological region. And then you assess. So there is a little bit of a qualitative assessment that is bound to creep in this ESG space, especially when you are looking at individual company, individual credit, and so on. And we try to quantify it by giving some scorecards and translating the qualitative assessment to some broad ratings, A category, high, medium, low, for example, and not like a precise, number, which is a little difficult to, achieve. So, sum and substance.
No, I think that's really quite comprehensive. Of course, Rupa, we have run out of time, but I think I cannot stop asking, given the kind of experience that you have shared, just a little bit in terms of specifically for Mumbai, if you were to pan your lens in terms of the city development aspects, kind of the infrastructure development aspects of Mumbai, as a banker, what are the kind of projects which will typically fall in the category of sustainable finance from a city lens perspective?
I'm a Mumbaiite. So I'm here because I'm a Mumbaiite. I'm very passionate about Mumbai. And in fact, when I got this invitation to come and discuss here, I live in a small place called Sion in Mumbai, and I was thinking we should do a science sustainability, summit, because everything starts small, and you have to make the change in the locality that you live in the building that you live in your own house, and then the city becomes sustainable. But in any case, I would love to work with BMC on initiatives in making Mumbai more sustainable. Many ideas, and of course, I'm sure there are multiple experts in this space advising the government. But some top ideas which will have high impact, according to me, is one is you mentioned rooftop solar. So in other cities, I have seen they do rooftop solars on top of bungalows and all of that. Bombay has housing societies, and so I think that must come in place very fast. The energy that we use should become clean and clean and green, and that's very simple. That transition, for all residents to install rooftop on housing societies. IndusInd Bank is rolling out a rooftop financing solution for housing societies. We just did it for individuals last quarter. So next year we will roll this out for housing societies. I think it's a great opportunity. Another thing that I think Bombay very badly needs is waste management. It's a huge area. I work with a lovely department called ASCII. It's based in Hyderabad. They're technical advisors to Government of India in WASH sector, which is water, sanitation, hygiene, and waste management. We work along with Niti Aayog and the Ministry of Housing and the central ministries, basically. I think it's imperative that Bombay manages its waste better than what we do today, and there are many opportunities in waste disposal, recycling of waste, and so on and so forth. And it's an amazing opportunity for MSME businesses as well to thrive if we get this right. But basically, the contract has to come out from the BMC for this. And of course, someone spoke about this, the water, because we are an island. Beautifying the water bodies around Bombay. It's a dream project to finance for any banker. And I think what we must do is not just take only banks, because we must form consortiums of multilateral agencies, banks, developmental, funds like Indian Developmental Fund, Government of India, as well as many foreign philanthropic institutions are willing to join in and provide. So all this then reduces the cost of the finance beautifully, and one can develop one can mobilize large amount of resources at very attractive costs for taking on large scale projects like this for city rejuvenation.
Thank you, Rupa, so much. It has been wonderful to share the stage with you. It's an absolute privilege to host you for this fireside chat, and I'm sure everybody has really benefited with the deep insights that you have shared. And I think we are up on time, so I'll have to kind of stop here and stop myself from kind of being so greedy to understand more from you. Thank you for all your time.
Thank you so much to our panel members for a wonderful fireside chat that we just had on financial sustainability and green bonds. I would take this opportunity and would like to felicitate you in just a way. We would like to share our token of love. Please request Dr. Rajesh Sarugna to do the honors. Shri Saurabh Kamdar, Associate Partner, ESG, KPMG. Shri Saurabh Kamdar, Associate Partner, ESG, KPMG. Let's have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And we'd also like to thank Ms. Rupa Satish, Country Head, Sustainable Banking, and CSR Head, Portfolio Management and Decision Science, IndusInd Bank. Ms. Rupa Satish. The claps should go on. I'm sure they've shared something which would ponder your mind, and you will surely think about it in the days to come. Thank you for the moment that we could click the picture together. Let's move ahead with the next session. And this is going to be the last session for. We are here since morning, and I must appreciate all the audience, everybody who is sitting over here. Can we have a big round of applause for ourselves? It's been a long day, and we have been hearing out from a lot of people, but you have been such a wonderful and patient audience. Thank you so much for being with us throughout the day. We are moving ahead for the last but the most important session of the evening, and that is preserving and cataloging Mumbai's rich cultural, architectural, and social heritage. I repeat the topic and the theme for the last session: preserving and cataloging Mumbai's rich cultural, architectural, and social heritage. To take this conversation forward, I would like to invite the panel members on the stage. Shashi Prabhu, Shri Shashi Prabhu, architect, founder, Shashi Prabhu and Associates. Can we have a big round of applause for him? Shri Shashi Prabhu, architect, founder, Shashi Prabhu and Associates. Along with him, I would request Shri Pankaj Joshi, a conservation architect, urban planner, civic consultant, former member of Heritage Panel. Shri Pankaj Joshi, a conservation architect, urban planner, civic consultant, former member of Heritage Panel. Shri Chetan R. Raikar, Shri Chetan R. Raikar, Chairman and Managing Director, Structwell, passionate heritage conversationalist. Shri Chetan R. Raikar, Chairman and Managing Director, Structwell, passionate heritage conversationalist. Along with that, Shri Manmar, Director, Kamla Raheja Vidyanidhi Institute of Architecture and Environmental Studies. Shri Manoj Parmar, Director, Kamla Raheja Institute of Architecture and Environmental Studies. And for the session today, Dr. Binti Singh, PhD, Dean, Research Associate Professor, USM's Director, Kamla Raheja Vidyanidhi Institute of Architecture and Environmental Studies. Moderator, Dr. Binti Singh, PhD, Dean, Research Associate Professor. Along with that, she is USM's Director, Kamla Raheja Vidyanidhi Institute of Architecture and Environmental Studies. Before they embark on the journey of this discussion, I would like to brief you a little about what this topic is all about. Preserving cultural, architectural, and social heritage refers to the process of protecting, conserving buildings, monuments, and other physical structures, as well as intangible cultural practices and traditions that we consider to be important as a particular community or society. The living culture and heritage and architecture is to ensure that these valuable resources are available for the future generation to appreciate and learn from. It's essential to approach preserving cultural heritage with a holistic and integrated approach, taking into account the different challenges and opportunities, engaging stakeholders and the community, and creating a strategy that aims for preservation and promotion of heritage for both the current and future generation. I'm sure there is a lot that these people have to say on this, so I'll not take much time and hand it over to them. Let's hear it out from them, the panel members, and discuss about the important topic that is preserving and cataloging Mumbai's rich cultural, architectural, and social heritage. Over to you. Hello.
All right, so I've been given this task of moderating the discussion. We will keep it short because I think we are running short of time. And so I think 2 minutes, each of you can give your thoughts, and then we open the floor for
You can finish
interaction.
in 1 minute as well.
As you wish. 1 minute is good enough. And then I think we should have an interactive session. That's what I think would be more profitable right now instead of having a kind of a one-way monologue. What do you think? Is that a good format for you?
Good.
Okay, so let's start with you, sir.
Am I going to start myself?
I mean, your what? Maybe I could read out an excerpt from my book, Resilience and Southern Urbanism, and we could start from there. So, so I'll just read a recent report which pointed out that India, for the first time, ranks among the top 10 in this year, as in that year. Climate Change Performance Index. The current levels of per capita emissions and energy use are still comparatively low, and along with ambitious 2030 targets, result in high ratings for the GHG emissions and energy use categories. While the country receives an overall medium rating in the renewable energy category, India's 2030 renewable energy target is rated very high for its well below 2 degrees centigrade compatibility. So in a nutshell, the government of India has robust policies to enable the use and expansion of renewable energy. Now, this is something that is a policy document. Now, I would also give you a few more statistics to a food for thought. A recent report on climate finance by the charity aid WaterAid suggested that existing climate finance is not reaching the poorest and the most vulnerable, who are likely to be the worst affected by the climate crisis. The charity's report found that half of all countries receive less than $5 per person per year in climate finance. This I'm quoting from The Guardian in 2020. The issues of power and justice are therefore embedded in the decision-making of resilient strategies of institutions. Another question that I would like to open to the floor is the distinction between resilience and sustainability. I think if I was the organizer for this conference, I would call it Mumbai Resilience Summit and not Mumbai Sustainability Summit, simply because there is a crucial difference between the word sustainability, which is decided by the society as such, what is good. So what is good for society is decided collectively. So that is sustainability. Resilient, on the other hand, is how do we bounce back after being hit by a disaster. It could be a man-made disaster, it could be artificial, it could be natural. Now, Mumbai as a society has been very resilient in the past. We have seen that. I mean, despite being under attack by nature as well as artificial, whatever man-made problems, we have always bounced back to life. So resilience, but not all of resilience is sustainable. So please understand the distinction. So sustainability is something that is good, but resilient may not be good. But yet we need to be resilient in order to be sustainable first. So just food for thought. All right. Another report that I want to tell you is that the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development target 1.5 aims that to build the resilience of the poor and its vulnerable situations, reduce their exposure to climate-related extreme events, etc., etc. So yes, the SDGs have also extended the sustainability thinking into the larger questions of the. Yes, so that is the most important thing I'm coming to, that how culture is the fourth pillar in the SDGs framework. So SDGs so far have been talking, I mean, the sustainability definition has been standing on 3 pillars: economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental sustainability. Now the fourth important pillar is culture, and therein comes the importance of the culture and the heritage assets, the cultural importance of heritage assets. And there I would like to have your point of view, the panelists, starting with you, sir.
You can. I will. You start, please.
Thank you, Binti. The the panel which we kind of thought I've slightly prepared is about the architectural and the cultural heritage of the city. And the city and the region are one of the most, well known for a substantial quality of architectural layers which are there in the city. And Mumbai tends to be one of the first cities in the country which came up with a draft legislation. This is way back in 1990. By 1995, we had a notification. All of us have been more or less, connected with this process. By 1995, we got the notification. We were the first city in the nation to come up with a heritage legislation, which was to protect and to preserve and promote cultural heritage. Now, the whole process of heritage legislation comes out from a larger environmental movement. The idea was quality of life in the city is going down, and therefore one of the spin-off was heritage. So heritage did not stand on its own. The pillar was larger issue of environmental sustainability, and where seniors felt that the city was becoming poor and the quality of life needs to be improved, and one of the pillars then tended to be heritage. So heritage did not come on its own, it came through a larger package of sustainability. Mumbai also has a distinction of having the first regional plan which had a heritage component, Heritage Conservation Society, sitting inside MMRDA and through the regional plan trying to enact legislation. We were followed by Hyderabad, we were followed by Ahmedabad, we were followed by other cities, but we had the distinction. Mumbai was the first city to comprehensively document through 6 volumes the cultural heritage, not just of Mumbai, but of the metropolitan region, including Thane, Kalyan, Vasai Vira. Your college was participating in the Vasai Vira documentation. So each of the area of the region, including Konkan, Raigad, has been mapped, and there's a substantial bit of information which is there pertaining to all layers of heritage. The disconnect that we have is we have a 32-year advantage of starting ahead, but we've not been able to keep the same momentum. The first committee which started with heritage legislation was called the Kanga Committee. Jamshed Kanga was the municipal commissioner, and that's when in 1990 the first report was done. The report had all aspects, but most importantly, chapter 6 of the report was talking about how do we create the whole aspect of sustainably managing heritage. It was not like, oh, I like your dhoti and your kurta, that is my heritage, but I will wear my denims and I'll be more comfortable. You wear the toned dhoti. Maybe I'll light it up with LED, but that is the heritage you need to maintain. So essentially, we never came up with a carrot and stick policy. We only came with a stick. So we came through legislation. Chapter 6 somehow got dropped along the way, and there is currently an issue that people are regulated, saying you please maintain the heritage of this city, but you don't get any tax benefit nor any other benefit, neither property tax or any other whatsoever benefit. That's when the Myanmar Heritage Society came in. So if you are really talking about issues of cataloging and preserving cultural heritage, there are 2 issues which come very clearly. Is that we have overdone regulation and we have really not done much about supporting or creating incentivizations. Like if you look at similar examples, even in Southeast Asia, city like Hong Kong has enough incentives, including property tax, including income tax, including soft loans for preserving heritage. We have none of these. When it comes to the larger issue of sustainability, the whole heritage comes from this thing that every building has an embodied. And some buildings, if they last for 50 years, if you can make them last for another 100 years, probably you stretch the embodied energy. And that falls straight into the argument of how do we make it more sustainable. The appropriateness comes from like how many people come to Mumbai to see a multi-storied high-rise, and how many people come to see Gateway of India or Victoria Terminus or Elephanta or Canary Caves. So essentially there is a merit for a city to cherish all the layers. And that is understood way back, 30 years back. What we've not been able to do as a city is to kind of create this sustainability index substantially ahead for future. So right now, many people see heritage as burden. When we were in the heritage committee, we had problems that people felt that the development potential to real estate was far higher
Okay, now
than this.
I'm going to cut you short. So please.
I'm going to the subject of smart and sustainability Mumbai. What is smart? Smart in terms of water supply, smart in the power, consistent power, then transportation, all these good air, proper communication, education, healthcare. These are the issues to be handled. And then we as an individual also try to contribute. We speak in a forum like this and then we forget, go to our profession and busy. But there is, we try to blame a corporation, local authority and so on and so forth, that we don't get a water supply at a particular time. I start from the water. How long we are going to get the water from these couple of reservoirs? Because I remember the godfather of the person, Chief Minister here, Bala Thackeray, he said there going to be a civil war for the water shortage. Imagine the population of Mumbai. People say it's 2 crore. According to him, must have crossed 2.5 crore by now. Almost 400 families come to this city every day. Where do they go? Do they go to the house building mass? No. They go to shanties. This is how the slums come up. Then we have a program. I was appointed by Bala Thackeray to deal with this issue. We try to put modern, different kind of, so it never implemented because the developers came in. I don't want to blame the developers because it was an opportunity given. People encashed the plots and then started building and so on and so forth. Municipal corp, MMRD is another authority, they are doing the best. End of the day, when it comes to the population and supplying all commodities to the huge population, it becomes an issue. In terms of the education, we are good schools, we are mediocre school, and we are municipal schools. The education parted today. I see the kids mugging. During our time, we never used to mug. We used to read and write. I don't know from where this culture has come about. When I go to the healthcare, I see the last couple of days back, I went to KM hospital. It's a pathetic situation. Come on. The patient was crying and then there was nobody to help him. I will not blame the nurses and the staff. But the issue is that the population versus support, which is happening in every sector, unfortunately. Look at the railway trains. The actually book is going with the human being. Each is about 4,000. 8,000 people travel in such a compartment, virtually. Is there an option? No. Railway minister asked him, he said, between the A and B train, there has to be a minimum distance. If I try to reduce, there is a possibility of, look at the BST. I think BST is another, well, they are managing how, I don't know, but people consider as an impediment. Recently, I see that the motorbikes, they are taken virtually the left side of the Mumbai. When we drive, we feel that how to save them. In between, somebody crosses. Though we have
How do you think the heritage is related to all of these problems of the city?
Heritage.
Yeah, because we are discussing heritage here and the value that it brings to the environment. So one thing that Pankaj has brought to the table is that there is enough regulation but not enough incentivization. So the finance part is missing. Or
see, basically, who is the old building only heritage? No. So we have to start maintaining each and every building which will last longer. The museum here is also classified as a heritage, of course, listed. Some are listed, we can't even change and alter. Victoria Terminus, I think Chetan Raikar is doing something there. He must have done many projects. But there are limitations also to take up the project. Estimation, cross, subsidy, somebody has to donate. There are all multiple issues. But what I'm coming at, till the population is not controlled by the city, whatever we may do is not going to be enough for the city. I'm talking seriously about this. Maybe this is not the right forum because you say, I read a smart and sustainable Mumbai. How to sustain Mumbai with influx of the population? That was my subject
Right.
issue.
So over to you now. I mean, do you want to add to these points, or do you want to give a new perspective for the audience?
After having traveled 60 minutes, I believe we should be given. So, let me take my share of the 120 seconds. Let's understand one aspect. What is our culture? The brick who invaded us and looted us, is that our culture? Is that our culture? Mumbai is a multi every structure. Why only heritage structure? One structure, you are creating huge amount in landfill somewhere, create mental challenges. Every structure must be retained, maintained, repaired, not only heritage structures. Now talking about DCPR, this new DCPR 34 has a provision that Honorable Municipal Commissioner will have the authority to decide the height of buildings in heritage precincts. So another 10 years time, you will find most of the heritage precincts disappear because the heritage committee has no say on it. So what I'm trying to say is, talking on such forum is really good and nice. But after 30 years, what Pankaj said just now, it has not gone into our systems well. Something really needs to do differently. And I don't have a solution myself. So I think this forum, maybe we can come out with four of our suggestions and send them to the statutory bodies so that we could genuinely sustain the city. If you have to sustain the city, my last point is decongest the city. Coastal roads and all these metro lines is certainly not going to help in long term. It may give a decongestion effect only for 5 or 10 years. But today by coastal road, we are inviting a person from Kandivali to come in his own vehicle to South Mumbai. Gujarat has done decongestion of Ahmedabad by shifting High Court and their secretariat and creating a new city called Gandhinagar, and the High Court is on the Sarkej Highway. Why can't we do it? So there's so many things that can be talked, but I think my 120 seconds are over. Thank you very much.
Then that provokes us to, ask me another question. Then what is your alternative? I mean, how do you decongest the city? It's open to all. I mean, each one of you can take the question.
Decongest, which is already congested. You have to create, today what we see the multi-storied buildings coming up. Has anybody given the thought? Ventilation, the open spaces, the road width, the traffic generated. In my area, I see a 70-story building coming up. Somebody's constructing. His car parking is 500 number. My road width is 25 feet, 5, 7 meter, 8 meter. We have to consider as a holistic approach and look at the city. See, people will construct, people will make money and go away. The people who are going to reside here, they are going to suffer. And this is going to be a continuous process. Those who are not belong to city, they don't care. Ask me the problem of some other city, which I have not gone. I don't know exact the problems and the issues of that city. Mumbai, as Chetan also said, 60 minutes travel is so difficult. Every day we sit in the car. What we do? See, for a public utility, city, there's no space to wait. I pity the especially traveling from there to suburb. Any toilets? No. Who is going to look at it? Is commissioner responsible? No. We are ourselves, we should raise our voice and talk commonly that this is what is required. Mumbai-Pune Expressway, up to Khopoli, beyond Lonara, there is no washroom worth, calling a really true good washroom. EMS, emergency medical care. We have seen recently an accident where one of the family from the developer's family is not contractor, is non-contractor, he poor fellow expired. But EMS is a very important factor, which I said about 25 years back. Till it has not come in practice.
Yeah, but that is what the smart city is all about. Deploy the smart technologies for precisely prevent accidents on highways, and that I'd like to bring Mr. Parmar on board on your thoughts about this issue.
Yeah, I'll just go back to what we were required to discuss on conservation. When I read the session 5 title, there are 4 words that are attached to heritage. One is preserving, second is cataloging, third is culture, and fourth is social. I feel that these are all actually the act of conservation anyway. When you say conservation, because preservation is about something is going to really become extinct and you preserve that. Restoration is bringing original condition, but conservation is trying to contemporize. I think we should be more focused on conservation of these values, whether it's tangible or intangible. I think the large problem in today's context, when we talk about heritage, the misconception of these terms. I mean, a lot of things Pankaj explained. For me, also, it's a new knowledge that how these legislation were formed. I mean, thanks for that. I mean, we'll have another discussion on this, because this was very important that everyone should know that the whole legislation has been born out of certain thought, but this is not how it is played in academia or many other professions. And also, I feel that I try to look at the whole day kind of a various session on sustainability. I feel sustainability is in a very simple term, is a sociability. And sociability is conservation is just inbuilt in that sociability. I think once we talk about, sociability in conservation or a development, I feel that we are talking sustainability, in a broader sense. So I think those conceptual clarity is absolutely the need of the time. And if you do not have conceptual clarity, I feel that we will just kind of think that we are doing thing, but actually we are producing something else as a surprise. Thank you.
Thank you. So actually, he brings us to a very crucial point. I mean, this conceptual clarity, which is the responsibility of academia through our research to kind of demystify terms like resilience, sustainability, net zero, carbon neutral, smart city, blockchain, machine learning, robotics, artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth. So there is a lot of new areas where I think the student community should come forth and investigate on a case-by-case basis in order to arrive at their own definitions. That is, of course, very important. And I think now that we are done with our views, I think we open the floor for interactions and Q&A. We would love to take questions from the audience, if any.
His question is, who will bail the cat?
We
That's it.
ourselves. We have to be responsible, including you are sitting as a spectator.
Chance
I
will be
was
given to
sitting
only
there as a
students.
spectator. See, somebody has to take the initiative. And then it has to be a holistic approach. Unless we come together, it is impossible to really, the issues are really sustainability. What is sustainability in Mumbai city? It is growing. As I said, influx. Who is going to stop the influx of the population coming 400 families per day, multiply by 5? So many people are getting it. Do they get the accommodation? No. They erect shanties and stay in the shanties. Somebody goes and give the water supply. Somebody creates some kind of toilet for them. And this is how the city is growing beyond. Some places we are not visited as yet. People staying in the cities and people staying in a suburb. It's something like going to be a different area. See, we have one commissioner who is organizing everything. We have multiples of commissioners. The population, I said, we are given a task to calculate the population of Dharavi. My people, after doing the 2-month survey, they've forgotten the names of the people also. People sleep in rotation. You go on a one day, you find certain people. Next day you go, it's a different people sleeping there. So this is what the whole culture. If you try to really look at the Mumbai, it's a very complex. The rich are rich and the poorest of the poor is poor.
Sir, who will bail the cat? Gentlemen, why do we need someone else to bail the cat? Why can't we do it ourselves? Start today. I'm sure times will change and it will not change overnight. What has happened in 100 years cannot be changed in 10 days. But let's start today. That's what I believe.
I'm talking to 300 people, only 2 people are responding.
Yeah, I will take that issue seriously.
Can I say
you
something,
have to speak
sir?
to the government on that issue.
Can we have a conservation policy for trees which have some heritage value? There's one tree I know which I've seen as a child also at the junction of Walkeshwar, Babulnath and Chowpatty. That particular tree, banyan tree, at one time housed a house where the horse carts came and the horses took shelter under it and also drank water and also ate some hay. It has changed over time, and today the island is still there. Island means the traffic island is still there, but I think the latest thing is that the tree seems to be uncared for. It was a very, it's not that very old tree. I think maybe it's about 75 years at least. But I think it could be preserved, but their interest is not there. And I'm sure there are very many such trees everywhere, which I think Pankaj could enlighten on that front.
Sudhir, we have one of the best kind of acts which came in last year, which is the Urban Tree Act, which also has a provision for Heritage Act. Again, this act is ahead of its time. Like no city or state has a tree act, which is kind of creating a substantial mechanism to look at heritage trees in terms of trimming, felling, what needs to be done, what are the compensatory afforestation. The essential problem right now is that who is going to implement that act? So we have one of the best legislations which are there. Like in each of our things, like a constitution, we have everything which is highly effective. The thing is, how do we kind of implement it? So if you look at the Urban Trees Act currently of last year, 2021, I think it's quite fascinating to kind of look at it. And most of your questions will be answered. The thing is, enforcement is something you know how to kind of grapple with. So, yeah. So, but there is an act which can kind of empower you to.
Yeah, we have to be together.
We have 2 questions. Was first listen to 2 questions and then we can answer it one.
I come from Navi Mumbai, and my question, in fact, already partially Pankaj has answered it. That most of our rules and regulations are FFTT, fill, form, and technology. That means the regulation is made, but nobody is made answerable to comply with that, and there is no watch and word. Take case of Navi Mumbai, the wetland, a lot of legislation on that, lot of regulation on that. but all wetlands are getting filled. Buildings are being made there on that. Every day and day night, we are killing the CRZ areas, we are killing the wetlands, we are not bothering for it. We are congesting Mumbai rather than decongesting Mumbai. See, population, you say, and today it's other way around. 7% population stays in cities, and more people were getting it here every day. How will you decongest it? So, Pankaj, we have regulation, that's true. 1990 it was found there. Is it being implemented? And who is responsible for that? Is it public? Is it BMC? Is it the Builders Association? Who all? Thank you.
Can I take the question? Sir, it's a very vital point that you've raised. Unfortunate situation is today our political leaders have 5 years of vision. Unfortunately, in Maharashtra, it has come down to 2.5 years now, but that's on the lighter note. But 5 years of vision, most bureaucrats, or rather several bureaucrats, have 3 years of vision because that's their period on that particular post. Today, we really need to have leaders who would have 100 years of vision, not only for the city, for the society also. We would need many more Modijis, if I can say, from this platform. I'm not too sure if it's not a political comment, but I personally believe, and even the professionals sitting here, he's a next generation professional, 1 generation senior to me. There is a lot of difference between his and my vision. Me and the next generation. The next generation is also talking of eat and throw. Nobody's talking of sustainability. The plastic bottles here on this very forum, are we talking of sustainability? We're talking of plastic bottles. तुलसी का पौधा रख के क्या होगा यार? Plastic bottle को तो गायब करो. That would be my statement. We are all collectively responsible, sir. And I always say, we get the leaders, they come out of us only. So can't blame anyone except us.
Okay, so mine's a bit of a complex question, but I first want to address the fact that this is a Youth Connect Foundation that has organized this. And if the people sitting in this conference room, the young people, are any indication of our future, I'm a little worried. I'm a little worried that throughout the conference, we've been here since morning, I've been seeing them scroll Instagram, which is fine, attention spans are shorter these days, I get it. Conversations among themselves that have nothing to do with what's being discussed here, I am a little worried. But to put the onus on the persons who are answering the questions, one of the first sessions was about Bombay being a coastal city, a marine city, a port city, and that we should be listening to the fishing community, which is, the community that was here before Bombay was here, before Mumbai was Bombay, before Bombay was Bombay. And yet, projects like the Coastal Road project are happening, which are going to literally wipe out this community, aside from all the ecological ramifications that are going to happen. And yet, it's in full flow, it's happening. It is going to serve a 0.00, I don't know how many zeros, 1% of the population. Somebody mentioned as well that it's actually opening up a can of worms. People from Kandivali are going to drive down to South Bombay. It's going to create a lot more problems than solve them. So my question is, something as simple as even garbage segregation, composting. How many people in this room, please raise your hands, how many people over here practice composting at home? Wow. That's like...
Not at home, but in the office.
It's still a shocking, not even 10%. My math is not that good, but that's 10% of this room, which is obsessed with sustainability so much that they've spent their whole day here in a city like Bombay where nobody has time. So my question is, what can we expect in terms of change, and who is going to do this? The youth, us, our leaders? What are the actionable things that are happening, that are coming out of this conference? Let's just talk about that. I know, big questions, but thank you.
Anyone? Because I also believe the number of challenges are far too many, and it cannot be one generation. It will have to be, we have spoiled it over many generations. It will take a few generations to revive the whole thing, but the things are reviving. So it's collectively us, the new generation, as well as not so young generation, and the younger generation, I would say, we all have to contribute to the cause. That's what I believe.
Good evening, panelists. It was a very nice lecture. Here in architects, we have Chandigarh city planned by Lal Kabir. In Ahmedabad, we had an IAM, B.V. Doshi, Balkrishnan Doshi. We should take ideas from them. I'm an advocate practicing in High Court. The High Court building is more than 150 years old, and it has still stood ground. High Court, City Civil Court. But many of the buildings which are now made recently have cracks in them and then fall down. What can we do about that? And in Bombay, in Jew area, in Koliwada, cultural heritage have still been there. Kotachi Wadi and in Girgaon, if you may have seen, has still preserved its culture. So what are we doing now to do it? And there's a quotation, we have not inherited this world from our ancestors. We have borrowed it from our children. So please let me have
No, well taken in the sense. It's a big subject.
Yes, sir, but we didn't understand what is your question. I mean, could you be? Okay, Pankaj
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
shedding some light of wisdom for us.
No,
We don't have any answers, just to
hardly any
tell
wisdom,
you. No
but
answers
the
to your question.
the whole kind of we've been engaged with schools for last 20, 30, 25 years at least minimum, and what we realize is that although there might be few youth here and they might not engage, but what we have been seeing through teaching and the whole pedagogy is now shifting, and teachers have to learn how to shift the pedagogy into larger discourses and larger theories to that 150 words of a Twitter or maybe an image, and essentially convey something which we were doing through larger lectures through small snippets which will make a point. But what I find is that the youth currently is far more enlightened than probably what I was when probably I was younger. So there's a positive there where we see them substantially more aware, substantially more engaged, and knowing substantially well what they want. So what we find with the current lot of students is there's a substantially good amount of knowledge they have about choices that they have, and I think they are the ones who will influence his generation, my generation, to do things which they feel is right. Like when we are talking, the gentleman from Navi Mumbai, none of our plan really talks about what is the air quality that we need to achieve. Tomorrow, if you cannot breathe, are you going to live in this city? So the thing is, but that is not a planning parameter. Planning parameter is crowd, area, square, but not the air quality. Essentially, if you look at Twitter and Instagram, on air quality, Delhi and the discourse which kids are coming up are far more richer than the fossilized generation is thinking. So I somehow see a lot of positivity in the youth and lot of optimism, and it's not the our generation is more ranting about what will not happen, but the younger generation is far more into doing things, and if they don't like what is happening, they leave. So the choice is whether you want your kids to stay with you, you kind of do that. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they are quite pragmatic.
I'd like to add to, absolutely, you are bang on this point, because it is the youth, and the way they do the way they think, the methods that they develop in their practice. I mean, it's quite remarkable, because we were taught in a different way, and they are really thinking out of the box. They are getting creative, and because it's very difficult to do research nowadays, because whatever uh, the questions, the very hard, pertinent questions that the lady has asked are a matter of investigation. It's not about who will do it. It's about how are we going to do it. It's not only about, it's about the methods that we are going to develop in order to even arrive at identifying what is the problem. We haven't even arrived at the problem yet. So for that, I really think that the youth have the solution, because the way they research is really remarkable. You know, the use of proxies and surrogate, and not, you know, tweaking the existing data, whatever is there from social media, and to arrive at inferences. It's quite remarkable. And this I see not only here, I mean, it is across, you know, universities, and they are very creative. So I think the youth really have the power in them, and the research is the answer. I mean, there are no easy solutions to these. Please.
Yeah, just quickly, I'll add, conferences are not to find the solution. Conferences are to arrive at least there is a conflict. There are issues that needs to be addressed. Now, when we talk about sustainability in a large context, sustainability is nothing but a collective priority. So even if you agree on conflicting ideas emerging out of various kind of planning paradigm, that itself is a success of any conference. That we agree, the sustainability starts right there, that we agree on something. Thank you.
Yeah, I think we should close the session on that note, because we have at least, no matter how much you criticize, but I would really like to congratulate Mr. Rajesh and the Youth Connect Foundation for putting us all together, at least since morning. We are thinking. So don't be so critical and so judgmental about us. We are at least thinking about a very pertinent issue to which none of the stakeholders have any answers, or forget about solutions, forget about even identifying the right questions. So we are on it, and that is why we are writing books, we are doing the research. And congratulations to you, Mr. Rajesh, for putting it all together, bringing us all these diverse voices in one table. It's a very, very formidable task, and I congratulate you for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to all the panel members for sharing their thoughts. And yes, it was a mammoth task to ensure that we get right people on the table so that we all can talk and discuss more about sustainability. I would take this opportunity to felicitate our panel members. Let's begin with Dr. Rajesh. Please do the honors. Shri Shashi Prabhu, architect, founder, Shashi Prabhu and Associates. Shri Shashi Prabhu. Ladies and gentlemen, let's continue with the claps. Shri Pankaj Joshi, a conservation architect, urban planner, civic consultant, former member of Heritage Panel. Shri Pankaj Joshi. Shri Chetan R. Raikar, Chairman and Managing Director, Structwell, passionate heritage conversationalist. Shri Chetan R. Raikar, Chairman and Managing Director, Structwell, passionate heritage conversationalist. Shri Manoj Parmar, Director, Kamla Raheja Vidyanidhi Institute of Architecture and Environmental Studies. Shri Manoj Parmar, Director, Kamla Raheja Vidyanidhi Institute of Architecture and Environmental Studies. And our moderator, Dr. Binti Singh, PhD Dean Research Associate Professor, USM's Director, Kamla Raheja Vidyanidhi Institute of Architecture and Environmental Studies. Dr. Binti Singh. We would like to take a group picture. Would request the dignitaries on the dais to join us on the stage, please. Thank you so much, everyone. At the end, I would like to tell you one thing. Today was a long day. We talked about sustainability, we talked about environment, we talked about climate change, we talked about a lot of other things. as our panel members rightly said, that we are accepting that we are facing a challenge, and that is the most important thing. Solutions, of course, it's a long way. We have to work together to make it better. But at least we are aware, we are working towards it, we are thinking towards it, and that's more important. I would like to end this with a poem by Shubham Shyam. कर्म तुम्हारा कल होगा और कर्म में अगर सच्चाई है तो कर्म कहाँ निष्फल होगा. हर एक संकट का हल होगा, वो आज नहीं तो कल होगा. लोहा जितना तपता है उतनी ही ताकत भरता है. सोने पर जितनी आग लगे वो उतना प्रखर निखरता है. मिट्टी पर जितनी धार लगे वो उतना तेज चमकता है. मिट्टी का बर्तन तपता है तब धुन पर खूब खनकता है. सूरज जैसा बनना है तो सूरज जितना जलना होगा. नदियों सा आदर पाना है तो पर्वत छोड़ निकलना होगा. और हम आदम के बेटे हैं, क्यों सोचे राह सरल होगा. कुछ ज्यादा वक्त लगेगा जरूर, पर संघर्ष जरूर सफल होगा. संघर्ष जरूर सफल होगा. With this, I would thank everybody who has been here since morning. I am Nancy Shah, and on behalf of Vivekananda Youth Connect Foundation, I thank you all for being here. I'll just get...
So since morning, Nancy Shah, she is no, it's okay. So she is conducting, anchoring, hosting entire event, and you can see the smile. Not a single. You can't see any kind of tiredness or laziness. She's more. She's looking more happy and more fresh. What she was in morning. So on the behalf of Vivekananda Youth Connect Foundation, we have Shashi Prabhuji and we have Oscar Academy member Ujjwal Nirgudkarji. I want to have a memento for Nancy. Please, Nancy. Ujjwal, enna daitsa hai. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yes, it was mine. There is a photo. Don't worry. I think this summit has made me more sustainable in doing what I do. Thank you so much for your patient hearing and being a wonderful audience. I would take this opportunity to do the honors, and we must congratulate one person in making this conference very successful, and that is Dr. Rajesh Sarvagna. Please, let's have a big round of applause for him. I've seen him working for this, and I must say that it takes a lot of time, energy, and as well as a willingness and passion to do something like this. A founder of Vivekananda Youth Connect Foundation, Dr. Rajesh Sarvagna, for organizing this summit, inviting all the stakeholders in terms of sustainability in one room and ensuring that we have a great conversation together. Thank you so much. And with this, I would like to call the day off. And before we do that, would tell you one thing. We have arranged a high tea for you. Please help yourself afterwards. And before we leave, let's stand for National Anthem, for the respect of National Anthem, and then we will end this summit. Again, on behalf of Vivekananda Youth Connect Foundation, I, Nancy Shah, thank you all for being here today. Thank you so very much. Let's have National Anthem together. जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता. पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंगा. विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्छल जलधि तरंगा. तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मांगे. गाहे तव जय गाथा, जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता. जय हे, जय हे, जय हे, जय 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 हे. Jai. And of course, before we leave, I would like to thank entire team. Can we have everybody on the stage? Our entire team. There are a lot of people who are working for ensuring that this summit becomes successful, starting from the video people to the technological guys to our entire team, all the volunteers. Let's have a group picture together before we leave from here. At the same time, this video, this entire event was live on Vivekananda Youth Connect Foundation YouTube channel. You can check it out at any point of time. You'll be able to see the entire video out there. And yes, follow us on Instagram and other platforms to get more updates. I'm Nancy Shah on behalf of Vivekananda Youth Connect Foundation. Sign off. Thank you so much. Enjoy your evening. And please join us for the high tea. Thank you. If you are missing on someone, please, जिसने भी हमको ये समिट सक्सेसफुल बनाने में मदद की है, please अब आगे आ जाइए. यहाँ पे मैं सबके नाम नहीं ले पाऊंगी. Please join us on the stage for the photograph. Yes, all the volunteers, everybody who has worked into this. Thank you so much, everyone. Please join us for the high tea. Please do not leave before that. And yes, have a wonderful conversation over the tea. Thank you. One more announcement. हमारे पास कुछ तुलसी के प्लांट्स है. अगर कोई अपने घर पे तुलसी का पौधा लगाना चाहता है, please come forward and take it from us. We would like to gift it to you. Yeah, please. You can just. आप यहाँ मंच